Of a three-game series at X Stadium in Tyler Field. Both these teams going to have to wait a week, or a weekend anyway, for conference play as the Southern Conference's Furman Paladins and the Shockers out of the American. First of all, Wichita State bringing a 14-4 record into this matchup. As you saw earlier, the wind very possibly could be an issue tonight. Shane and Denning here from X Stadium in Tyler Field. 20 miles an hour consistently, gusting up higher than that. Both these teams at different points in this season have piled up some offensive numbers, so the pitchers will certainly have some pressure on them. And Denning, we've talked over and over again, the best way for a surefire good RPI, especially after 18 games, is pile up a bunch of wins, and the Shockers have done that so far.
Yeah, Shane, the RPI can be a bit of a complicated metric, and it's really simple to have a good one. Just win a bunch of baseball games, and that's what the Shockers have done so far. They put themselves in a position where if they do happen to have any stumbles in American Conference play, they're still in a very solid position for an at-large bid.
To this point, they have a win at Creighton and what they hope will be a good win later on in the season after beating OU a couple of days ago. Now, the starting pitcher for Wichita State, Cody Hoyer, who's been the #1 from the get-go, has slowly but surely gotten a little bit better, hasn't he?
Cody Hoyer has definitely been the rock in Wichita State's weekend rotation thus far this year. He's gone at least 5 innings in each of his 5 starts and at least 6 innings in each of his last 3. He's gotten a little bit better each time out and has really developed into a guy that Todd Butler and Mike Steele can trust on a Friday night.
Furman's pitching staff has been bitten by the home run bug lately. They were a little undecided who they were going to go with tonight, but Nick Verbeck will get the start. He's 3-1 for Furman. Defense, starting lineups, head coaches, much more coming up next on WSU-TV.
Got a quarter?
Shockers and Paladins for the first time ever. You'd expect Wichita State and some of the American teams to have never met before, but same goes for Furman from the Southern Conference, picked to finish 4th in their respective conference when they get going next weekend. Shocker starting defense has been very good all year. Denning still far under 1 error per game. 1 per game in college is good, but they've been better than that this year. Just
very solid all the way around, and it's allowed this pitching staff to kind of pitch with a little bit more confidence, knowing that you don't have to strike everybody out. And not that the Shocker staff hasn't racked up a bunch of those strikeouts, but it's just nice knowing that you've got 7 guys behind you who have really picked it so far this year.
So the Paladins will be playing their 8th game away from home. They're 2-4 in true road games. They hit .290 as a club, Denning, and I think maybe in some ways still trying to discover what they are. .290 is a good batting average, but the home runs are a little low at 16. They've only stolen 9 bases, so I think certainly early in the inning, if they get a couple of guys on, then all bets are off.
It remains to be seen what kind of offensive approach and offensive identity that this Furman team is going to have. They'll sacrifice bunt a little bit, not really going to rely upon the extra base hit as much.
And as we mentioned a little bit earlier, it'll be up to Cody Hoyer. Shockers want to get off on the right foot in this series. It'll continue tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and a kind of a special reminder Sunday morning. It'll be 11:30 first pitch for you right here on WSU-TV. There you see Cody Hoyer, and we've talked about him a couple of different times, Denning, and his progression from last year to this. What is it you've seen? We've seen a handful of starts now from him, and a guy that normally came out of the bullpen last year. What are you seeing from him this year?
Well, when you're coming out of the bullpen, it's all about just letting it go, basically, for 1 or 2 innings. And Cody Hoyer's best pitch is his fastball. He works primarily off of that. And so you want to incorporate that mentality into a starting role while also starting to work in different types of pitches. And for me, it's the incorporation of a get-me-over breaking ball to start counts, especially in right-on-right situations, that has allowed Cody to really flourish so far this year.
Now, by definition, a quality start is, first of all, it's designed around a big league start, 6 innings or more, 3 runs or less. But even with that, and even with the lack of a spring training for a college team, Cody Hoyer's put together 3 quality starts, and not coincidentally, and you touched on it last segment, each of the last 3 starts of his has been quality.
And he's given Wichita State innings on a Friday night, which you really can't overstate the importance of. It sets up your bullpen going forward in a weekend. You get 3 innings from your starter on a Friday night, it can really put you behind the 8 ball for the rest of the weekend.
So Ben Anderson, Brett Hebner, Jake Crawford to lead it off against Cody Hoyer. Again, Furman out of the Southern Conference, Wichita State heading into the American, but both these teams on their bye weekend, or open weekend as it were. And so they'll be tangling with one another and doing a little scoreboard watching throughout the course of the weekend for sure. Glad you could join us here from Eck Stadium in Tyler Field. A very, very warm afternoon and evening. First pitch is a little bit high and we're underway. It is baseball weather, but as we saw from the outset, the wind and the elements will likely have something to do with the game before it's over. Cody Hoyer, big guy from state of Colorado. Each of his last 3 starts, he has gone exactly 6 innings. No runs back on the 2nd against Nebraska, 3 back on the 9th against UT Arlington, and 1 last weekend against Creighton. That one's in there, and it's 2-1. Cody gets right back in the count.
And how good has Ben Anderson been, the leadoff hitter for Furman, just scorching the ball as of late, hitting .464 over his last 13 games. True freshman, slid into center field, and at the top of this Furman order has been outstanding.
And Hoyer delivers a little bit high, and it's 3-1. Now, the one bugaboo, if there is one, has occasionally been the base on balls. He hasn't been totally wild, but there's not been a game so far this year that he's walked fewer than 2, as many as 4. And that shows you the life on his fastball. That was a 3-1 fastball that Ben Anderson basically got sawed off. A fastball right in on him at 95. Ben Anderson, 6'1", just 165, native of Georgia. And he lost him. So Ben Anderson, as Denning alluded to, the hottest hitter on the team and the leading hitter on the team, came in at an even 400 and leads off with a base on balls. So Cody Hoyer has kept that streak alive of walking at least 1 man in each of his starts this year, and he got it out of the way early.
Well, he will work off his fastball, as we mentioned, quite a bit. It is definitely his primary offering, and if he does not have excellent command with it, that can make things difficult for him, since he doesn't utilize the breaking ball and the off-speed pitch nearly as much as others on the staff.
An auspicious beginning for Cody Hoyer. Now, Brett Hebner squared around as if to bunt. Now, that could mean a couple of different things. It certainly could mean that he wants to lay down a sacrifice, but it could also mean he wants to wait for Hoyer to throw a strike. And sometimes a sacrifice bunt in the first inning is the best thing for a starting pitcher.
Absolutely.
Gets him a free out.
Struggling with command, and if a team wants to hand you an out, you will take it.
That one catches the outside corner, 1-1. Now, back to business. Hebner has 1 sacrifice. Ben Anderson is 0 for 4 in steals. So it's not, as Denning said, just a freshman, not an accomplished base stealer yet. Hebner meant it, and he's going to push that one foul. So that's all well and good that you try to push the base runner over, but If you don't, now you've left yourself with exactly one swing for Cody Hoyer and his 95-mile-an-hour fastball. So this can be a tough assignment for Brett Hebner.
Yeah, I've got no problems with squaring around and forcing Hoyer to throw a strike, especially after the leadoff walk. You want him to at least get back into the zone, but allowing a pitcher to settle in by handing him an out, especially in the first inning, has never been an offensive philosophy that I ascribe to.
Swung late and sprayed foul. Plus, you got a guy who's hitting .303.
Right. The last thing you want to do is take it out of his hands. You know, he's been swinging the bat fairly well as of late too, and it just feels like, I don't want to say panicking, but giving up outs this early when you've got your best hitters up at the top of the order doesn't seem like the way to go offensively.
Hebner in the midweek went 0 for 4 against College of Charleston. That was a couple days ago. 1-2. Mentioned individually, Ben Anderson, not much of a base stealer, not much at all. Really, the only guy that is Jabari Richards. It'll be a while before we see him. He's 6 out of 7. He's got 6 of the 9 steals for this Paladin team. Runner goes, and we'll do it again. So quite a bit of trust in Brett Hebner sending the runner there.
And Shane, you mentioned how one of the few bugaboos for Cody Hoyer so far this year has been the occasional bouts of wildness that he's had to fight. And while it hasn't resulted in crazy high walk totals, what it has done is it elevates his pitch count quite a bit. He definitely has to grind through 15, 18 plus pitch innings more than once in a start, and it limits him to 5 or 6 rather than going into the 7th.
Runner not going that time, and another foul ball. Shockers have turned 14 double plays so far this year in 18 games, and now a couple of hitters. So that's what Hoyer would be looking for right here, right now, because as Denning mentioned, the pitch is starting to pile up, and he's still not yet recorded an out. So after the failed sacrifice, Brett Hebner has worked the count even. There you see Alec Boehm even with a bag. Infield up the middle, playing at double play depth. Pitch up the middle just slightly. Something maybe to come later on this season or later on in his career if we get that far, because Cody Hoyer certainly has some pro aspirations, that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, no surprise, being a junior. But either next year or in pro ball, probably going to have to develop something really soft, straight change. Everything out of his hand right now is hard, hard, hard. And he's given Brett Hebner a steady diet of fastballs after he's gotten to a 2-strike count.
It's not as easy of a pitch to develop as you might think. Changeup very much a feel-oriented pitch rather than a slider where you can kind of just grip it and rip it, throw it as hard as you can with your fastball and then generate movement in that way. But changeup much more dependent on feeling it out.
Runner goes, strike him out, safe at second base. The first steal by Ben Anderson in 5 tries, and it's not been an easy feat. Denning stealing bases off Gunnar Troutwine had been good up until then, and even then he made it a close play.
And a close play on what was a difficult pitch to throw on. Breaking ball working down. He had to catch it and get rid of it in one motion, and really threw a strong throw down to second, just a little high, and that split second of laying the tag down may have allowed Anderson to get the hand in safely.
And Hebner doesn't strike out much, so that's a feather in Cody Hoyer's cap. After a long battle, saved his best slider for last. Now here's Jake Crawford. Crawford comes in at .313, a couple of home runs. There are a handful of guys on this roster, or at least in the lineup anyway, that will strike out a lot. But there are only 2 or 3 of them. Everybody else does a pretty good job of putting the ball in play. Crawford's one of those guys that will most generally put it in play. So Hoyer works behind Jake Crawford with Anderson at second base and 1 away, just getting started.
Well, you wonder how aggressive Hoyer wants to be here with Crawford. It does kind of fall off after these top 3 hitters in the Furman order. Boswell in the on-deck circle just a 240 hitter, and no one else is above 270 once you get past Mr. Jay Crawford.
I think it's pretty clear that
base open.
Mike Steele understands that. And when you get down at the very bottom of the order, this 7, 8, 9 guys, they've only combined for 13 at bats all year. So you're talking about the productivity dropping off and then the experience altogether dropping way off. Pick your poison with a base open. And no big deal if you're Jake Crawford. You take that one 10 times out of 10. That was called a strike by the home plate umpire. And with the wind galing out to left, too. Be careful with this guy. Came right at him. Got away with one. Something at 90 miles an hour, and Crawford pulled off of it.
Maybe a little two-seamer there from Cody Hoyer, but excellently located on 3-1, working down in the zone. And like you said, Shane, against any power-hitting righty today, it's a dangerous proposition to go after him in a hitter's count, but Hoyer got away with one.
See what he comes back here with. Got him looking. Boy, what a sequence that turned out to be. And really the key of the whole thing was that 3-0 pitch. It had a little comeback to it. College umpire is going to give you a little bit. This was the best pitch of the sequence right there. A little comeback fastball.
Just worked it back to the outer edge. And how about that? 3 fastballs after the 3-0 count. And Hoyer dotted him up when he really needed to after showcasing some pretty spotty fastball command through the first 2 hitters.
And it looked like for all the world he was more than content to pitch around him and walk him. But then he came back to get him. Lulled him to sleep maybe.
3-0 had him right where he wanted him.
Yeah. Here's Boswell. Over but low. John Michael Boswell getting just his 6th start. He's catching today. Boswell split time with Logan Taplett a couple of days ago. Went 1 out of 2 coming off the bench against College of Charleston. So Cody Hoyer's started him similarly to what he did with Jake Crawford. Hit to Vickers left. He's got it, and Cody Hoyer pitches around a leadoff walk. Half an inning in the books. Paladins scoreless. Shockers coming up.
This inning is brought to you courtesy of Popeyes.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Cody Hoyer had to throw a few pitches in that first inning, but worked around some trouble. And now the Shockers will go to work against Nick Verbeck. He was originally not scheduled to start the opener, but Paladin coaching staff settles on him. Nick Verbeck, big guy, 6'3", right-hander, native of Georgia, redshirt junior. Numbers a little elevated this year, Denning. This is a staff, at least at first blush, that struggles to get you to swing and miss a little bit. They're going to give up some hits.
28 hits allowed in those 22 2/3 innings for Verbeck. Not really going to overpower you, which is somewhat of a departure from what Wichita State has seen on Friday nights earlier this year. You're used to seeing guys who are sitting in the low to mid 90s. Verbeck's not really going to be that type of guy, but he'll move it around a little bit. Has some decent strikeout stuff.
Verbeck started the season coming out of the bullpen. His first 3 appearances covered 4 1/3, and then he went 5, 7, and then 6 1/3. Most recently against Harvard, pitched into the 7th inning, but ended up giving up 6 runs. And there's only been one game, a game against Penn, where he's struck out a lot more than he's walked. So see how the Shockers can work him over here. Ritter, Genesta, and Bohm in the bottom of the first. Ritter is heating up, and maybe at just the right time. 5 for his last 16. And frankly, Denning, I think he's probably seeing it as well as anybody is over the last 3 or 4 games.
Even the outs have been well struck from Luke Ritter over the last couple of ball games and really into the last couple of weeks. We had talked ad nauseum about how it seemed like he was by far the most unlucky Shocker. He had lined out quite a few times and just hadn't had much go his way through the early part of this year. But clearly Todd Butler still has some faith in him, keeping him in the leadoff spot.
Scored 5 runs in his last 4 games. Last 2 games, he's had a multi-hit game. Good pitch by Verbeck. It's 2-2. Ritter started 46 games last year, 43 games as a freshman. Seen time almost all over the diamond. That one was overthrown and high at 87. That's 3-2 to Luke Ritter. That's another thing maybe he's done better than anybody in the Shocker lineup. See a lot of pitches.
Always works counts, very comfortable hitting deep into counts too, which is an underrated asset really as a hitter, is being comfortable swinging it with 2 strikes. The pitcher still has to get one by you with 2 strikes, and that's something that a lot of hitters I don't think are cognizant of.
Threw him basically back-to-back fastballs, one away, and that one more middle in, and Ritter was right on both. So I don't know that he's seen the whole store, but getting more and more comfortable gauging Nick Verbeck. That's hit well into the right center field alley. Wynn's going to play with it, and the right fielder Kay really. It's one thing to look up the flag and say, okay, it's windy, but here in South Central Kansas, when it's windy, it's going to play with it a lot.
Well, Shane, I was getting ready to say right before this pitch, all 3 outfielders for Furman were really shallow. And against a guy in Ritter who has his fair share of some pull side popping, clearly can go the other way with it as well. And if you're going to just challenge guys with fastballs on 3 and 2, some of those are going to get, yeah, those are going to get squared up, and you're going to give up some extra base hits if you're going to play at that depth.
Yeah, and Kay's first route was directly over towards center field, and that was not the one to take, as Ritter hit it a lot better than he thought, and maybe it's windier than Kay gave the elements credit for. Either way, Ritter's got a leadoff double. And Genesta had a great hack and fouls it back. So Ritter stays hot. He's now 6 for his last 17. He's in scoring position for the heart of the Shocker order. And Grayson Genesta is one of those guys, Denning, that probably could use a couple of guys in scoring position because it's been a while since he's knocked a guy in. Way outside, 1-1.
Teams have worked around Grayson quite a bit as of late. He's done a good job in terms of staying patient, knowing that he's not going to get many good pitches to hit in an at-bat, especially if he's up there with a couple outs and nobody on. There's a good chance he's going to see 4 breaking balls, and it's just incumbent upon him not to chase, not to expand the zone.
Cut on and missed. A pitch in on him. Since that grand slam back on the 9th against Texas Arlington, he's had 1 RBI. And that was over a span of 6 games. He's only 2 for his last 13, covering his last 5 games. That one hit him in the foot. And that cost Wichita State a base because catcher was going to have no prayer whatsoever, Boswell, of corralling that one. So what that does, I suppose, in a good way for Verbeck, is bring a double play back in order, but that hit him right on the back foot.
Does set up the double play, but I'm not sure that Verbeck wanted that on a 1-2 count. He tried to go back down and in where he got the swing and a miss from Genesta on the previous pitch. This time they went fastball instead of breaking ball and just spiked it. And home plate umpire Terry Harrison didn't make any signal right after that pitch went to the backstop, and so there was some confusion between Verbeck and Boswell, who both raced after as if it was a wild pitch.
Second-year Furman coach Brett Harker making a note of that very thing Denning was talking about, to make sure that Terry Harrison lets everybody know that, don't make my catcher wear himself out if he got hit by a pitch. Let us all know. So here's another guy that's in an RBI drought. Alec Bohm hadn't driven one in his last 6. And he fouls it back after Verbeck comes right at him.
Well, Verbeck better be careful if he's going to keep challenging guys with fastballs early in counts. And Bohm and Genesta have shown a propensity to ambush those first pitch fastballs if it's middle third. Both had really good swings and fouled it right back to the netting. That's playing with fire.
And then he took a little off and bounces 1-1. So the difference between, at least in the past 5 or 6 games, difference between Bohm and Genesta is Bohm's getting his hits, but neither one of them are driving guys in. And maybe the encouraging sign here, Denning, is over the last 6 games, Bohm has 0 RBIs. Shockers are 4-2 in those 6 games, so they've managed to win them. High bouncer foul over Sammy Esposito's head, and it's 1-2. So we'll see if Verbeck can gather himself after hitting Genesta on a 1-2 pitch.
Well, it's nice to know that you don't need 6 grand slams or whatever Wichita State did through the first couple weeks of the season to put up runs and to win ball games. And I think it's shown also the depth of this lineup, that without Genesta and Bohm both just hitting on a torrid pace, you can still put together rallies offensively.
Hit to third, and I was going to say it might be a triple play, or at least a chance for it. They only get 1. Crawford was right by the bag, had a chance to force out Ritter there, but he thought it was a double play ball. And honestly, Genesta got down the line in great shape, and as did Bohm at first. So it turns into just 1 out. And Verbeck, while expecting better, did get the 1 out. And a little collision over there at first between Sanders and Bohm. Bohm's going to win that battle every time.
Yeah, just not sure that was the right decision by Crawford. He had a ground ball taking him right to the third base bag. At the very least, step on third and throw to first.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
Would have had plenty of time to get Bohm, you would think.
Verbeck chips off a bit of the outside edge to Mason O'Brien. Mason hitting an even 300, 17 runs batted in. So the Shockers knocking on the door after turning Furman away in the top of the inning. They got a double, a walk, and then that fielder's choice right there. Still just 1 out. Shockers actually this year have done a nice job of staying out of hitting into double plays. They've only grounded into 6.
Well, it helps that 2 of their best hitters, who normally would be the kind of guys to ground into those situations, can both scoop.
Oh, Texas League bouncer in the right field for a base hit. A Baltimore chop, I suppose, is the correct term. Either way, Shockers are on the board. Mason O'Brien now tied with Alec Bohm for the team lead in RBI. That one wouldn't black your eye, but he won't give it back either. It's 1-0 Shockers.
Taking advantage of the home turf just a little bit. Next stadium's infield can be somewhat bouncy, and if you can chop it right out in front of home plate, that second bounce will really pick up steam. Carries it on into shallow right field. Good read, too, by Alec Bohm. Never slowed down and goes first to third.
Here's Trey Vickers. So Bohm goes from first to third. O'Brien brings in the game's first run. And Vickers swings and misses. So Verbeck has not had much problem getting ahead of the Shocker hitters, but putting them away has been another story. It's been a double, a walk, or I'm sorry, a hit batter. and O'Brien's high chopper to right. Of the games that he's gotten in at bat, Trey's got 4 hits in 5 tries. Fouls another one back. Boy, you're right. Nick Verbeck is proud of that 87-88 right down the middle. He's challenging the Shockers, and so far he's getting away with it. But again, late in the count is when Wichita State has been able to take advantage of him.
Got to tip the cap to the aggressiveness, and you like the fact that he's willing to go right after hitters, but you also like Wichita State's chances over the long haul if he's going to keep firing away with upper 80s stuff.
Reach back for 90 right there with a showcase fastball out away from Trey. Vickers, the active career leader in many categories, including games played with 159. This is his 524th at bat as a Shocker, and that's with missing 3 weeks of the season to begin with a hamstring issue. A hanger, and this should be deep enough. Anderson circles under it, and he'd have to have quite an arm to get Alec Bowman home plate. So Trey Vickers gets the job done. 2-0 Wichita State. Sacrifice fly RBI for Trey. That's the 4th run driven in by Trey.
Very nice piece of situational hitting there from Vickers. You know what you got to be looking for in a 1st and 3rd situation with less than 2 outs, something elevated. And Verbeck, who has given him, and really every hitter, a steady diet of fastballs thus far, tried to slip the breaking ball by him, but left it elevated. And Vickers stayed back, kept the hands back enough to drive it into center field.
So now Jacob Catsby, the left fielder. A little roller to second, should be easy for Tiano. It is. But the Shockers have a nice round. They score 2 on 2 hits, leave 1. 2-0 Shockers after 1.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new Student-Athlete Success Center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Shockers with a good round in that 1st inning, getting RBI from Mason O'Brien and Trey Vickers. And in the top of the 2nd for the Paladins, it'll be Landon Kay, Jabari Richards, and a kid named Deion Sanders getting an opportunity. Can't wait to see what number 2 looks like for Furman. Wonder how many times he gets questions about Deion Sanders.
Probably way too many,
daily,
I would think. Yep. But the importance of that missed opportunity on the double play ball, you really can't overstate that in the bottom of the 1st inning. Could have got Verbeck out of trouble, if not on that pitch, if it had turned into a triple play, if on the next hitter. But instead, the Shockers take advantage, get a 2 spot out of it, and give Cody Hoyer a little bit of cushion to work with.
You want to go back to the top of the 1st, Jake Crawford getting caught looking with a guy in scoring position.
Sure, after being ahead 3-0. Yep.
So 2-0 Shockers as we head to the 2nd. Landon Kay, the right fielder. Down around the knees, called strike. Landon Kay got off to a miserable start. He's gotten off the deck since then. He's hitting .224, but he started 1 for his first 22. So it's fair to say he and Luke Ritter both lately have been red hot. You wouldn't know it by the season's average, but boy, those guys both started off in a huge hole.
Yeah, Kay was a guy that Furman had very high hopes for entering the year. He was preseason all-conference selection, hit .332 last year with 11 home runs. And Yeah, 1 for 22 with 13 strikeouts through the first 7 games is not going to get it done.
Reached space safely in his last 14, so he's finally starting to settle in a little bit. Hoyer threw a belt-high breaking ball that he didn't get the call on, so he's fallen behind another hitter, 2-1. And now it's 3-1.
Last thing you can do on a day like today is hand out free base runners. Those are never ideal, but on an afternoon like today when the wind is blowing out, temperatures are up in the low 70s, those are not the kind of things you want to do if you want to be in the ball game for very long.
And a line drive out. Atom balls always help, but to your point, you can't make a living falling behind. And maybe as a starting pitcher, as the game goes, you start to settle in. And if you're Furman, you feel like, okay, we need to get to this guy because he's falling behind every single one of them.
And Cody Hoyer has a great fastball, but even 93, 94, 95, when you know it's coming, can get squared up. Furman, as we have alluded to, is a team that is no slouch swinging the bat. They've got some power and can really put some good swings on fastballs. So incumbent upon Cody Hoyer to start getting ahead in counts for sure.
Jabari Richards maybe helped him out a little bit on a pitch down and in. It's 0-1. Richards only one of only 2 left-hand batters in the lineup to face Cody Hoyer this evening. Good pitch, 0-2.
I really like that.
I'm sorry, Richards 0 for 1 briefly against College of Charleston the other day.
That little two-seam from Cody Hoyer. He's used it a couple of times. First time we've seen it against a lefty where he started it on the inner edge and kind of worked it back.
And then blew him away on the outer half of the 4-seam 94. And that's something that, well, first of all, not everybody can do it. If it was easy, everybody would be a 10-game winner. But that little comeback fastball, that 2-seam fastball you were alluding to 2 pitches ago, one before that, the Greg Maddux pitch, you know, where you can almost get a left-hand batter to flinch a little bit and try to move out of the way. When it comes back over that inside part of the plate, college pitchers can't do that, don't do that very often. That's not easy.
Bartolo Colon, another expert at it. He'll start it right at your hip and make 88 look a lot harder than it is. But for Cody Hoyer, it can act as in a way, a breaking ball in that it gets them off of that traditional 4-seam fastball where he's going to try and pound away. And so if you can just showcase something else on the inside part of the plate, it sets everything else up.
Here's Deion Sanders. Deion is 1 for 4 this year. So Sanders, then Alley, then Tiano will be getting action tonight, that the likes of which they haven't been used to this year. Right through there, 2-1. Sanders has made his way into 5 games, but more than one at bat only once. 1 for 2 in a game against Central Connecticut.
Well, his one hit was a home run, so he's got an untarnished slugging percentage as of now.
Bases empty, 2 out. Hoyer working on a 1-2-3 inning. He's working on setting down 5 in a row. Got to challenge Sanders here. He did and clipped the outside corner. Cody Hoyer would counter our argument by saying, well, all these 3-1 counts, I'm making pretty quality pitches to get myself out of trouble.
He has saved his best fastball location for when he's really needed it. Hitters counts and has painted the corners a couple of times.
Payoff, challenged him upstairs with 95. That's never a bad idea. Still 3-2 to Deion Sanders, native of Franklin, Tennessee. A little different build than the football player. This Deion, 5'11", 223. Just upstairs, so being only 5'11", maybe was the reason why he's on there.
Looked like Cody tried to go with the same pitch that he went with previously, the expand fastball up in the strike zone. Very difficult to get on top of if you can execute it properly, but oftentimes executed properly is a ball where it's just maybe 1 or 2 balls up above the zone.
Some would argue by letter of the law that should have been a called strike anyway. That was right around the belt, but those rarely get called. Here's Trent Alley. Bouncer to Vickers. Oh, nice play. That was do or die, and he made it. And the Shockers are out of the inning. Another walk, but another man left. At the end of 1.5, Shockers up early.
Put shelter on your team for your insurance needs. You'll be glad you did.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Troutwine, Gibson, and Boyer are your Shocker hitters. If anybody gets on, back to the top of the order, and Luke Ritter. Nick Verbeck had to work in the first. Had some mixed results. Shockers put together some what you would consider quality at bats, getting them on, getting them over, getting them in. Gunnar Troutwine continues his comeback from a disappointing season a year ago. Shocker senior catcher got his average at 265, driven in 10 runs, 3 doubles, a homer. And Verbeck comes right at him and jumps ahead of him 0-1. Troutwine 0 for 3 a couple of days ago against Oklahoma. Got an elevated pitch and tries to dump it into right field, and the wind just put the brakes on it, and Tiano, the second baseman, battled that one to the death, 1 away.
Had plenty of backspin on it already, and then once it ran into the wall of the wind out in shallow right field, turned it into a rather difficult play for Tiano, who had to slam on the e-brake and then ultimately lunge forward to make the catch.
Hunter Gibson takes a called strike out away from him. Hunter, big guy, 6'3", 210, freshman out of Oklahoma. 1 ball, 1 strike. Third start of the year for Hunter. A couple of hits and 6 tries. One of them a home run. Pulled the ripcord on an emergency swing, and a shortstop, and just in time as it's dug out by Deion Sanders. Hebner to Sanders, and Gibson, I think as he will get older, Denning will decide if you're not going to get a pitch you're looking for, don't swing. He kind of flinched, and we won't see the first part of that replay, just see the nice dig by Sanders. But that pitch fooled Gibson, and he decided to swing at it anyway.
If you can't put your A hat on it, sometimes it's better just to watch it go by and live to fight another day. But that breaking ball clearly handcuffed him just a little bit, working to the inner part of the plate, ended up with kind of a half swing.
So 2 away, and here's Boyer. Certainly Verbeck could use a quick inning. Boyer, like a handful of his teammates in the starting lineup, could really use a hit. He's been slumping lately. 1 for his last 15. Season's average has tumbled to 236. Did get a hit and a run batted in against Creighton back on Sunday.
Been a lot better fastball command this inning from Verbeck, and that's a big difference because when you're throwing 86, 87, you better be hitting spots or you're going to run into some trouble. He has worked it to the corners rather than living on the fat part of the plate.
Good try. Didn't get the call. Mentioned he made the start against Harvard last weekend. Got roughed up a little bit. Pitched into the 7th, but ended up giving up 6 runs. He was really good against Penn 2 weekends ago. 7 innings, 6 hits, only 1 run. And a good pitch to get rid of Boyer, and that's that. Still 2-0 after 2.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
2-0 Shockers as we head to the 3rd inning. Want to remind you that Shockers Sports Grill and Lanes is the perfect place to spend time with family and friends. Open to the public. Shockers Sports Grill and Lanes feature 8 bowling lanes, billiards tables, plus great food and beverages, like freshly made burgers, sandwiches, salads, cold beer, and more. Shockers Sports Grill and Lanes located in the lower level, the Radigan Student Center, the perfect place for kids' birthday parties. Also group events or a night out with friends. Shane and Denning with you here from X Stadium. The Shockers got 2 first-inning runs, and it'll be Nick Tiano the first to greet Cody Hoyer, and then back to the top of the order. A walk in each of the first 2 innings is the only thing keeping Cody Hoyer from mowing him down 1, 2, 3, but Denning, as we've alluded to, he's had to throw a few more pitches than I'm sure he would like.
Already up over 40 through 2 innings. That's been kind of a concern for Mike Steele and Todd Butler. It's just that hard to pitch deep into ball games when you're working 15 to 20 pitches a frame, but it helps when you got Cody Hoyer-like stuff. He just doesn't give up that many hits, makes it hard to string together rallies against him.
Nick Tiano getting his very first start of the season. So far, he is 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Couple of pitches in the same area of the plate, and it's 1-1. Paladins so far this year opened up with a sweep of Marist and then lost 4 in a row before beating South Carolina in Columbia 6-4. Took 2 out of 3 from Central Connecticut State. Took a couple from Penn. Also got a win against Michigan State earlier this year. Nick Tiano chased a pitch up, and it's 2-2.
Brett Harker really amped up the schedule this season for Furman. 10 of their first 11 opponents were NCAA tournament teams a year ago. The one team that wasn't, of course, is South Carolina, who they went on to beat on the road.
Got him looking on the inside corner. Tiano got worked over a little bit on that at bat. He becomes the 4th strikeout victim. And back to the top of the order we go. Hoyer with 4 punch-outs.
Well, the big pitch was 2-1 when he got Tiano to expand his zone a little bit, chased a fastball high. They got Hoyer back into the count, and then that's just perfectly executed. Fastball under the hands to a left-handed hitter. Not the 2-seamer this time, or a traditional 4-seam fastball that just got on Tiano in a hurry.
So here's Anderson. He started the game by drawing a walk. And a good off-speed pitch swung over the top of, 0-1. Anderson, as Denning mentioned, this is hot as can be lately. On the season, 4 doubles, 3 triples, 3 home runs, 21 runs batted in. 1 ball and 1 strike. Anderson has hit in 3 straight, 8 hits in his last 3 games, spanning the last 2 Harvard games and the College of Charleston game. Good pitch on the outside corner. It's 1-2. So Hoyer slowly but surely starting to work ahead of hitters. Barely got a piece of it. It looks like Denning for the moment. Cody Hoyer's figuring some stuff out.
So a little slider working down and into a left-handed hitter and generated a very defensive swing from Anderson, but all set up by his ability to locate fastballs to all quadrants of the plate. When he's doing that, it becomes very difficult to hit. His command can come and go at times, but when he's on, he's really on.
And blew him away with 95 on the outer edge. This isn't chopped liver, Ben Anderson. I mentioned he had a 4-hit game against Harvard a couple of games ago. He's already had 2 4-hit games and 5 3-hit games on the season. So this guy knows how to get on base, but Cody Hoyer steps on the gas, blows him away. That's 2 up, 2 down, both by strikeout. Brett Hebner. And drops one in there, a little wrinkle for strike 1.
Well, I mentioned the get me over breaking ball at the top and hadn't seen much of it from Cody Hoyer through the first couple frames, but he threw a good one to Anderson and now here to Hebner that can set everything else up and amplify his fastball.
And a straight change, I guess if you want to throw one of those at 87. Falls off the table. Now he's just showing off. He's got 53 pitches where if he can get Hebner in the next couple, that'll get him back on track for in the low teens as far as the average is concerned, if he can settle in. And that one elevated a little bit outside. Hebner was a strikeout victim his first time up there. So Hoyer walked the opening guy of the game, then retired the next 5, then walked a man. Now he's set down the next 3. Bounced a 51-footer, and it's 1-2. The Shockers will have the top of the order in the bottom of the inning. First of 3 with Furman this weekend. We'll wrap up an abbreviated 4-game homestand, then the Shockers will hit the road, take on Central Arkansas on Tuesday, and then open American play at ECU. Cody Hoyer struck out the side in the 3rd.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd. What are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Top of the order, bottom of the 3rd. Shockers rung the bell for 2 runs last time that happened at the bottom of the 1st inning. And Luke Ritter started it off with an opposite field wind-aided double. Came around to score, so he will try to stay hot here in the third. Shockers were set down in order in the second. Nick Verbeck is actually set down 5 in a row since that rocky first inning.
Seems like both starters beginning to settle in just a little bit. Cody Hoyer flashed some electric stuff in the top half of this inning. Verbeck kind of cruised through the Shocker bottom third of the order, but this is the part of the order that got to him in the first.
And he keeps coming right at those Shockers with fastballs early in counts. And he continues to get away with it and get ahead in the count. So Ritter working on a third consecutive multi-hit game. 2 out of 5 on Sunday with a home run and 3 runs batted in against Creighton. 2 for 4 on Tuesday against Oklahoma. 1-2. Ritter last year really slumped badly after a pretty decent freshman season. In 2017, Luke at 223 did have 11 extra base hits and 4 home runs, but had trouble putting the ball in play consistently a year ago. Spits on that one, 2-2.
That's going to be kind of a byproduct too of how he likes to work so deep into counts. And we talked about how he's comfortable hitting with 2 strikes, but if you're going to be in a lot of 3-ball counts, 3-2 counts, you're going to strike out your fair share of times.
He works the count full to 3-2 for the second consecutive plate appearance. In the air to center. Wind's going to help it. Anderson has it measured, and Ritter hit it to the wrong part of the park that time. 1 away.
Still like the swing though from Luke Ritter on 3-2. Looked like he wasn't necessarily off balance on that breaking ball there from Verbeck, just under it a touch. And like you said, if he pulls that to left center field, maybe it's a different result, but a lot of room out there in center.
And you don't necessarily want to scrap your way of hitting just because the conditions happen to favor you if you are a dead pull hitter. You get into bad habits that way just for one game.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's easy to fall into a trap when you see a 30-mile-an-hour wind and you start trying to yank everything, start dropping the hands and trying to uppercut everything. That can create more problems than it'll solve in a hurry.
There you see that wind. It's tempting to, if you're a right-hand batter, to want to step in the bucket, try to pull everything. Genesta was hit by a pitch his first time up there. Verbeck got ahead of him last time too. Took a shot at left field, looked like, and he sprayed it foul. Still 0-2.
And this is where it's helpful to have an approach like Grayson Genesta does, where he has the ability and the power to drive the ball out of here to any part of this park. We have seen him do it to left field multiple times in his Shocker career, and so he is not a guy who will fall into that vice of trying to pull everything on a day when the conditions favor it.
Not to say that he won't cheat a pitch or two, but normally during the course of the at-bat, he doesn't continue to do that. He'll settle back in and take what the pitcher gives him.
He's always been a guy, it seems like he will go up looking for a particular pitch in a particular spot. He'll put his best swing on it if he gets it. And if he doesn't, he'll swing through it. And the at-bat continues at 0-1. It's not the worst thing in the world.
And he stays alive. Went fishing for that one.
It's kind of like what we talked about with Hunter Gibson, where it's like, would you rather put your B swing and make contact on a pitch that maybe is not what you were looking for, or would you rather just swing through it and live to fight another day?
Tried to backdoor him, and it's 3-2.
Strike one as a hitter is definitely not ideal, and it puts you in a hole, but it's also not an end-all be-all for any at-bat. You can still have an approach and have a plan up there, and I think Genesta does a good job of that.
And he draws a walk. That's the thing, even with what I said earlier in his previous plate appearance, how he'd been struggled to get hits and runs batted in. He continues to take his bases on balls. That's now 21 walks drawn by him. So he's continued to, we talked about Luke Ritter not changing his approach. He hasn't gone outside of the strike zone trying to get his hits either.
That on-base percentage still very healthy with the hit by pitch and the walk. I imagine he'll be pushing right up near 485 or so, and he'll take that any day of the week, even if the hits aren't necessarily coming.
And he also knows who's hitting behind him.
Sure, that's important too. Context, absolutely.
Bohm and O'Brien have tied for the team lead in runs batted in. Alec has kind of been stuck on 18 for a while. O'Brien continues to get his. Genesta thought he had Verbeck measured, and he probably did, but got caught flat-footed after trying to time him up. Now, this is the one thing that Furman has really struggled with, and that's keeping opposing base stealers down. Boswell is part-time catcher. He's allowed all 5 of the would-be base stealers to make it against him. That one's hit like a bullet into center field, so that is a moot point. Genesta thought about going to third. We'll hang on at second. So Alec Bohm continues to get his hits, and they continue to set the table for O'Brien.
Last thing you want to do as any pitcher is start paying partial attention to Alec Bohm, too, with Genesta on at first base. If you start thinking that he might be in motion and just divide your attention even a little bit, Alec is going to make you pay. He picked on something out over there and put a great swing on it. Right back up the middle. Good approach.
So 2 on again for O'Brien. Mason bounced one into right field that brought home Luke Ritter back in the first. So a fly ball to center, then a walk and a single. O'Brien swings over the top of one. Nothing in one. O'Brien on a bit of a home run drought. It's been 42 at bats since his one and only. There go the runners, and everybody's safe. A double steal, and that's the ultimate in taking advantage of the opposing battery. Verbeck now has allowed 8 out of 8, and Boswell, when he's behind the plate, 7 out of 7.
Excellent job on the back end by Alec Bohm, paying attention to Genesta. As a runner at first, you got to have your body angled. Pay attention, watch the lead runner. If he starts to go, you got to trail him. And Genesta got such an excellent jump. I'm not even sure that Boswell was thinking about throwing to third. It looked like he was planning on firing down to second before electing just to eat it.
Verbeck from the full windup. Only play to first, and only because O'Brien runs like a first baseman as they're out number 2. That's a huge out for Nick Verbeck. And now that hindsight being what it is, you wonder what would have happened if Genesta would have kept coming toward home plate.
Well, he took a couple hard steps down the line, then thought better of it, and probably would have been safe.
Yeah, he would have with the backspin on that ball.
That was a really good play by Verbeck, because if he fields that with his glove, he's probably got no chance. The only way he makes that play is to grab it with the bare hand, and with the spin on that baseball, it was not easy to do so.
Yeah, it was going back toward home plate. Trey Vickers swings through one. Trey hit a fly ball to center field that meant a run for the Shockers in the first. Verbeck trying to work out of trouble here in the third. Verbeck has not thrown a wild pitch yet this year. And it looks like he's going to get out of it. Tiano's got a long way to go, and called off by the shortstop Hebner, who made a basket catch. So it was scary, but Furman survives the Shockers' half of the third. Well, Cody Hoyer heads to the top of the 4th inning on a pretty good roll. Struck out a couple in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third. So 6 in the game and 5 more away from an even 100 strikeouts in his career. Not that he's going to get them all the rest of the day, but I guess he might.
He's shown the whole kitchen sink. He's shown the ability to move the fastball in and out, throwing a 2-seamer and a 4-seamer. And as his game has gone along, has mixed in the slider and a straight changeup as well, where if he gets all those pitches working together at the same time, it's just fun to watch.
I told you at the top of the show that he has turned in 3 consecutive quality starts. That is 6 innings and 3 runs or fewer in each. He also struck out exactly 5 in each of the last 3. Struck out 6 in 3 innings tonight. Here's Jake Crawford, who Hoyer got. And blows one by him in on his hands, nothing in 1. Furman has 16 home runs as a team. Jake has 2 of them. Ben Anderson and Jason Costa, who's not in the lineup tonight, each with 3. Brandon Elmy also has 3. He's not in the lineup either. 1-1. Shockers got both their runs in the first inning. Bouncing ball single by O'Brien. Sacrifice fly to center by Vickers. Furman's still looking for multiple base runners in an inning. They've gotten walks in the first and the second. 2-2 to Jake Crawford. Jake was 1 out of 5 on Wednesday against College of Charleston, a game won by the Cougars 15-6.
And Cody's just generating a lot of weak contact and defensive swings in hitters' counts when he is just coming right after Furman with fastballs.
And he mixed in a bender there. It's fouled back. Furman, like Wichita State, having to wait an extra weekend before they get into conference play. Furman picked 4th by the coaches in the preseason poll. Bouncer to second. 1 away. Crawford hustling all the way, made it close. But he's the first out of the 4th inning, and that's 3 innings in a row that Cody Hoyer's retired leadoff man.
Good recipe for success is a power hitter like Crawford. Anytime you can get him to drive the ball the other way, you'll take it, especially on the ground. That was a good pitch. Even with the arms extended, Crawford couldn't do much but bounced it weakly to the right side, and Boyer took that extra half beat waiting for O'Brien to get himself settled on the first base bag, the reason for the close play.
Now back to the screen, nothing in 1. John Michael bounced to the shortstop to end the first. And as much as anything with the platoon between he and Logan Taplett, yeah, you'd like to get some offensive production from your catcher. That's almost like icing on the cake. But if they don't get a handle on the opposing base stealers, it's going to be a long year, regardless of who's behind the dish. And that sometimes that falls on the pitchers, too, more times than not. That was a very good sequence by Hoyer. An afterthought of a swing yields another strikeout. But it's awful nice when you're talking about Wichita State. You get some decent production from Gunnar Troutwine and only, what, 2-3 successful steals against him so far in the early going. Again, that's as much on the pitchers as anybody.
31 of 39 is a problem, and
yeah,
that goes on the shoulders of both, I think, the pitcher and the catcher, and definitely going to be something that Furman will have to clean up, where it seems as though Wichita State has that scouting report. Genisto looked like he was ready to be on the move from first base earlier in the game prior to the double steal that they executed successfully. So when teams feel like there is a weakness, whether the catcher's arm or just pitchers slow to the plate, they will pounce on it, especially when that seeker gets out.
Yeah, especially now. There's more of a tendency and a scouting report like this. This is a real thing 18 games into the season. And by the way, that stolen base by Ben Anderson in the first was the first allowed by Hoyer this year. Opposing base stealers were 0 for 1. So the next time a guy gets on base, watch how Cody Hoyer, despite being 6'5", is quick to the plate. He's very mindful of base stealers.
Almost never uses a leg kick. He is almost exclusively just a slide step kind of guy and still generates very good velocity out of the stretch. It is impressive to watch, and he's given Gunnar Troutwine plenty of chances to throw out runners when they do happen to go.
Little tapper foul, and there's been a lot of little things that add up to 14-4. You know, the Shockers have stolen now 21. Their opponents have stolen 8. And I think we can both agree that the steal has kind of gone by the wayside a little bit. Most coaches would favor the hit and run and things like that nowadays. To a certain degree, sacrifice bunt, but not as many people try to steal anymore. And Cody Hoyer is well on his way to a career night in strikeouts. The Shockers will try to add on in the bottom of the 4th.
I was living in a shelter, juggling 3 jobs. I had to be resilient. That's something that you can't teach.
Introducing Dunkin's new cold brew coffee, steeped slowly in cold water for small batches with an ultra smooth, full-bodied flavor. Discover the craft of cold brew today and keep on. America runs on Dunkin'.
On opening day, Cody Hoyer established a career high in strikeouts with 8 in 5 innings. He's matched that in 4 innings this evening. Attention Shocker fans, you want to shop the largest selection of Shocker merchandise at the official store of Wichita State University Bookstore, located on the first floor of the Radigan Student Center on the campus of WSU, or you can go online 24/7, WSUBooks.com. Find everything you need for every generation of Shocker Nation. Join our Shocker Rewards program for cash back on future purchases. The University Bookstore is the place to shop. Trying to bunt his way on is Jake Catsby, and up and over is Crawford, the third baseman. He was in just close enough to cut down Catsby. Tried to bunt his way on to start the bottom of the 4th.
Just a hair too hard from Catsby to the left side. The angle was all right. The direction wasn't half bad, but Crawford was already in near the bag at third base, and so it required just a little bit more deadening if Catsby was going to have a chance to beat that ball out.
So 1 away for Gunnar Troutwine, and Nick Verbeck, after a rocky first, is settled in. I say rocky. It wasn't really his command. He made a mistake by hitting Genesta on the foot. That was pretty much his only sin outside the strike zone. The Shockers just had some productive outs. 1-1 to Gunnar Troutwine, who popped out to the second baseman.
And the way that Cody Hoyer has looked through the first 4 innings, Verbeck might want to keep this one right where it is.
Turf hit to third, and Crawford, nice play, and guns out Troutwine. Showing some athleticism over at third.
Just another example of the ball taken off on this turf. It can really accelerate off the hop, and Crawford had to retreat in a hurry to field that ball up above his head. But the most impressive part of that play was essentially a blind throw. He planted the feet and got rid of it in a hurry.
A very neat and tidy 4th inning for Nick Verbeck. It's been 2-0 since the first.
Fans now have access to
Well, since the first, it's been pretty much up and down for both teams. Cody Hoyer working on a dandy through the first 4 innings. 6, 7, and 8 coming up for the Paladins of Furman. A couple of things, Denning. First of all, a little bit of research needed to be done on A, Furman, and B, a Paladin. Care to share?
Well, I love the fact that they're the Paladins just because it's unique. You don't see many of those kicking around in collegiate athletics, but a Paladin, for those of you out there who are curious, is any of the 12 peers of Charlemagne's court, of whom the Count Palatine was the chief. So there's a lot of historical ties for a very historic university. Furman goes back a long way. This baseball program goes back a long way, and only fitting that they have a historical mascot to go along with that.
So Jabari Richards will lead it off. He struck out looking his first time up there. Also not often where you'll play someone from Greenville one weekend and another from Greenville the next without playing the same team.
That's right. North and South Carolina represented in the next couple of weeks for Wichita State.
Cody Hoyer, as we mentioned, working on a career best in strikeouts. And boy, he's looked razor sharp, really from the get-go, but really tightened it up since the second inning. Struck out a pair in the first, 1 in the second, the side in the third, the last 2 last inning. And dating back to Richards, the guy who just struck out, that is 6 strikeouts in the last 11 batters. That's a career high 9.
I'm not sure if that's just a straight changeup or a splitter, but whatever it is, it's a problem. It is diving hard, sharp, and late. And when you mix that in with 95, 96, which Hoyer's had in his back pocket all night, that combination alone is going to present plenty of difficulties. He just had the good stuff.
I shortchanged him. That's 7 strikeouts in the last 10 batters, including Jabari Richards twice. So that's quite a run through the batting order. Deion Sanders was one of 2 base runners for the Paladins tonight. This is like a video game. It's got a magic ball. Nobody can touch it. Those sliders are as nasty as you're going to find the last 2.
He can throw just about anything he wants here on 0-2.
That ball had a blinker on it. Man.
Like that.
I'll tell you what. Scouts are going to flock to Wichita State games on Friday nights because of 2 guys in the Shocker lineup. We know who those guys are. But they'll get a bonus by watching this guy, too. He's putting on a clinic.
That 3-pitch sequence alone may get him drafted if the fastball velocity wasn't going to already.
That 3-pitch sequence alone may have gotten him $10,000 more. Somebody saw that
filthy.
It's in his arm, and we've known it for a while. But man, he is getting all linked up tonight. He has at least 1 strikeout in every inning, and multiple strikeouts in 4 of the 5.
against a good offensive team.
Mm-hmm. I was just getting ready to say, statistically, Furman strikes out 8 times a game, but that's nothing earth-shattering. That's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. They struck out 8 times all game against the College of Charleston 2 days ago.
I guess the one downside is that all the strikeouts have kind of pushed the pitch total up for Hoyer, and remains to be seen how deep he'll be able to go in this ball game, but still no reason to press the panic button by any means just yet.
Strike out guys on 3 pitches. That alleviates some things. 3-1. Again, 2 base runners for Furman. Ben Anderson led off the game with a walk. Deion Sanders walked with 2 outs in the second. And you get the feeling, let's assume that Hoyer retires Alley here, that I imagine there'll be at least a mini powwow or a full-fledged team meeting in the Shocker dugout. All right, this is enough. Cody Hoyer's pitching his tail off, and we're just sitting here on the 2 runs that we got in the first inning. The game's not over yet. Easy to kind of get lulled into a great pitching performance by your guy. Bohm waits for it to come down, and another 1-2-3 inning for Cody Hoyer. See if the Shockers can get to work halfway through here from the Eck.
Okay, fans, it's time for some House of Swan Bud Light trivia. Rules record for
The Shockers are getting a gem from their starting pitcher, Cody Hoyer, as you can tell just by the line score right there. However, the Shocker offense has been a neutral since the first inning, and they've only really had 1 opportunity since the first, and that was when they had runners at second and third and less than 2 outs in the third, where they had a chance to tack on, but failed to do so against Nick Verbeck.
You really hope that opportunity won't come back to bite them. You would love to give Cody Hoyer a little bit more cushion with the gem that he is tossing right now, but I guess at this point it doesn't seem like it's going to matter. Cody Hoyer has been electric.
Jordan Boyer lofts one foul onto the concourse, and credit Nick Verbeck, Furman right-hander, after facing 6 batters, allowing 2 runs in the first, been a lot more economical since then. And really it wasn't command that got him in the first necessarily. He worked behind his share of hitters, but ended up making pitches when he had to. He conceded runs for outs, or outs for runs, as it were. And he's been, while not quite as sexy out there striking out the world like Cody Hoyer, but just as effective. And frankly, he's working more efficiently because he's thrown fewer pitches.
Verbeck showing there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yeah.
He's gotten it done with a big, slow breaking ball and fastball command that has gotten gradually better as this game has gone along. And that's the case with a lot of Friday night guys. You better get to them early because they will settle in.
And they got him early. It remains to be seen if they can start it back up again. Boyer was a strikeout victim in the second. And Boyer hadn't struck out much this year. Waited on a breaking ball and pounded one foul. Same two teams here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. We'll bring it for you right here. It'll be Liam Eddy and Matt Lazaro, the scheduled pitchers. Eddy, freshman right-hander. Lazaro, a lefty. Big jug stayed high, 3-2.
Well, that's the curveball that he struck Boyer out on in the second. He threw it to him 2-2. He threw it to him again after the foul ball. We'll see if he now has the guts to try and lock him up with a fastball.
Like he cut that one a little bit, but the fastball was spoiled foul. Two runs on just 3 hits for the Shockers tonight. Cody Hoyer so far has made him stand up. And a good battle between Verbeck and Boyer.
Well, Wichita State made 2 runs stand up in the midweek against Oklahoma. Got the winning run on a 2-base wild pitch. I'm sure Todd Butler would prefer the offense break out just a little bit, but with as good as the pitching has been, that's all they've needed.
So Boyer's on there to start the 5th inning. A tremendous at bat by him. And while it's nice to score 6 or 7 runs and pile up a dozen hits or so, when you don't and you can still play that airtight defense, get you good bullpen, that's going to get you ready for Americans. So while you don't want to do it every night, Todd Butler at least knows he's got that in his hip pocket.
And we talked about it during that Oklahoma game too, about when you're facing teams that run out the kind of arms that the Sooners do, you're not going to score 7, 8 runs, and you're going to have to win 3-2, 4-3.
Runner goes, and a ground ball hit and run to left field to see if Boyer tries to take an extra base. Here comes a throw in from Richards, and safe at third on a bang-bang play. Boy, Richards got rid of it in a hurry, but the Shockers have got something going here in the 5th. Luke Ritter stays hot. He's got another multi-hit game and a hit and run perfectly executed by the Shockers.
Boyer running right in the face of Richards, who put a very strong throw on this. And I love the tag, too, from Crawford.
Oh, yeah.
He sold it well, made it a very quick tag, trying to slap it down on the backside of Boyer. And we'll get another look at it here on what was a bang-bang play. If Boyer got the hand in there, it was because he started his slide at just the right time. And hard to say.
It was, Richards was super shallow and left. And Crawford was convinced he got him. So that's going to be the first trip to the mound, and presumably by Brett Harker, who's the head coach, but a very good pitcher. No, it looks like it's going to be the pitching coach, but Brett Harker, the head coach, spent some time as their pitching coach. Here's a look at it again. And if he got in, that right hand just barely got the bag as the glove was coming down on the Boyer's backside. Couldn't have been closer.
Yeah, the problem for us is just that this camera angle is on the opposite side of where the tag was applied. It would be on the back side of Boyer, whereas our camera is front facing there. And Jordan kind of stuck the slide just a little bit. This is just so close. Shockers will take it, though.
They
certainly
will take it. That was very close. So you wouldn't want to live on the difference, I can tell you that. So now here's Genesta with a chance to, if not break the game open, at least give the Shockers some breathing room. And that won't get it done. Shockers just got to pray that won't get caught. And a nice snag by Boswell. That is a huge out, number 1, as Genesta fouls out to the catcher. 1 away.
We spent a lot of this afternoon talking about how Genesta likes to ambush first pitches. That time was out on his front foot on a breaking ball, and a nice play too by Boswell. That's not as easy as I think a lot of people anticipate. You have to find the screen, and those foul pop-ups will have a lot of backspin too that makes it difficult to judge.
When that ball gets above the roof of the stadium, the wind pushes it back even further toward the playing field. So here's Bohm. You get the feeling like this might be the game here for Furman. And honestly, have there been any balls that have even scared the warning track? Ritter's fly ball to center was okay.
Steps in front of it, yeah. I've always wanted to see a third to first move work.
It's been a long time. Yep. Back in the day.
Here we go.
Brought it up.
Yeah, here we go.
I will say a good third to first move looks more to the base runner like a fake to home, not a fake to third. So it's almost like a balk move to third. You can fake to third, obviously, and not throw it, as opposed to a left-hander throwing it over to the first base. So it's like looking into a mirror. If the pitcher makes it look like he's throwing it home, that's when you take your eye off of him and take your secondary. Thus, endeth the lesson.
Well, I know Wichita State was famous for it.
They used to be able to do it a lot.
Long-time pitching coach Brent Chemnitz was just an icon as far as the third to first move go. It was on every scouting report at the top.
They all knew it was coming.
Every right-hander was capable of it.
Yep. That leads a shortstop right to the bag and safe at first. Boy, the Shockers fortunate to get a run. Heidner to Tiano to Sanders looked for all the world like it might be another effort and futility for the Shockers. Bohm will get credit for an RBI. They'll get a run. They'll take it. But considering first and third no out with the teeth of the order coming up, unless O'Brien does something special here, you got to feel good if you're Furman. And good job of hustling by Bohm out of the box. Boyer scores. It's 3-0.
Just a split-second hesitation, I think, from Tiano getting it from the glove to the throwing hand. It was a strong throw, but the turn was a half-second late, and Wichita State gets a run that makes 3-0 feel pretty insurmountable the way Cody Hoyer's been working.
Well, Bohm, rather, in each of his last 2 plate appearances, hit the ball right on the button. Here's O'Brien. Still no action in the Furman pen. Only 75, you can see it right there, 75 pitches thrown by Nick Verbeck. 2 outs here in the 5th. Little flare to shallow center, a long run by Anderson, but out goes the shortstop Heidner and makes the catch. So they played the win pretty well. The Shockers get one, but probably wish they had more after 5.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
To the 6th we go. 9-1-2 in the order for the Paladins of Furman. And the Shockers with 2 in the 1st and 1 in the 5th. Really hadn't been a thing of beauty other than the bottom line. Shane Dennis, Denning Garrick here on WSU-TV. Again, the Shockers and Furman with their last tune-up before their respective conference openers. And it's been all Shockers here tonight. In a matter of speaking, they haven't exactly bashed around Nick Verbeck. He's made a lot of good pitches when he's had to, and Shockers just put a few more quality at bats together than Furman has so far.
Sometimes that's the difference on a Friday night. Wichita State has so far played the Friday night game well. They've taken advantage of the few scoring opportunities that they've had. Alec Bohm's hustle has given them a 3-run cushion for Cody Hoyer to work with.
Tomorrow at 2. Sunday at 11:30 right here on WSU-TV. The entirety of the series with the Paladins. Cody Hoyer's had quite a first 5 innings. He needles the outside corner to Nick Tiano. Cody Hoyer has struck out everybody except Trent Alley at least once, and we're only in the top of the 6th. One ball and one strike.
Some of them haven't been strikeouts so much as they've been clinical procedures.
Wipeouts.
3 pitches of increasing filth.
Hit sharply, and that's the first time we've said that in a while, but Tiano's 0 for 2. So back to the top of the order, and Ben Anderson.
Cody Hoyer's been here before as far as the lack of hits is concerned for Furman. Did this his last time out against Creighton, where he took a no-no into the 6th.
Well, if he gets Anderson, it'll be in exactly this spot. 2 outs in the 6th at the top of the Creighton order before he gave one up.
Needless to say, this is the dangerous part of the Furman order. Anderson, Hebner, and Crawford, the 3 guys who carry the lion's share of this Paladin offense. And if Hoyer can get through them, it's relatively smooth sailing after that.
He struggled to get ahead of hitters in the 1st, really from the start until it ended. And then he slowly but surely started to settle in. He had, what, Denning, over 40 pitches through 2 and
41. Yep.
Still under 90 as he's settled in. Ben Anderson 1 out of 5 on Wednesday against College of Charleston.
He has thrown a fewer number of pitches in each inning. Started with the 25 pitch first, then 16, 15, 14, and 12. A little more efficient each time, despite the strikeouts still coming in bunches.
Straighten him up with a fastball, and it's 3-1 for the first time in a while. Ben Anderson has been on there twice. Brett Hebner has struck out twice.
Shortstop number 3, Brett Hebner.
Back on Tuesday, 6 Shocker pitchers combined to allow just 4 hits to Oklahoma and just 1 run. Hoyer looking for a ground ball here, pitching out of the stretch for the first time in a while. And that one just over the bag and fair. So there's the first hit, and it's going to turn into the first run. And the Paladins are on the board. Hebner right over the bag, cashes in that 1-out walk.
Game of inches, and this one comes back to bite Wichita State as Hebner just sneaks it inside the third base bag down in towards the corner. And I don't think Catsby necessarily played it poorly, but Anderson can really fly. He got a good read on it, and once this ball ricochets down in towards the corner, there was no chance to get him.
And he was off the line, so he had a long way to run. So now Crawford and Boswell will represent the potential tying runs as the no-hitter and the shutout go by the boards all in one ground ball. Clayton McGinnis starts to loosen for the Shockers now. It's the very first time that Cody Hoyer has allowed more than 1 base runner in an inning. Again, there's only been really 1 inning that the Shockers have had where they have kind of been kicking themselves as far as opportunities that they've blown. That was in the 3rd. But you got to give Nick Verbeck some credit. He had a tough first inning, but only really 1 rough one since. And Shockers had runners at the corners and nobody out, and only got 1 run last inning. Nothing going on down in the left field bullpen for the Paladins. good pitch. And that's unfortunate. Three-man crew, and somebody's at second base in a right-handed check swing. Everybody knew except for, yeah, he went too far. Matt Ossenfort, you can't totally blame him. That's hard to pull the trigger out there when you're in the middle of the diamond.
Hey, here's a check swing. Let's ask the guy 200-something feet from the plate what he thinks.
I can't see, yeah. And I'm not so sure he didn't at least go halfway on that pitch in the turf. And he held up that time. Well, Crawford not seeing the breaking ball very well, and he caught a break 2 pitches ago. Vickers is going to go to first. Keebner goes to third. So one more good sequence to John Michael Boswell, and while you certainly always like to see history, 6 innings of 1-run ball. You can't ask for much better than that. That's 4 consecutive great starts for Cody Hoyer.
Yeah, and you're never going to second guess the decision to send him back out there. Of course, he had no hits allowed through 5 innings, but man, you go through an order a 3rd time, even with a guy who has great stuff. It's just a number of times in the math of getting a chance to see a pitcher multiple times. You've seen everything he has to offer.
Healthy cut by Boswell, who's grounded out and struck out. As Hoyer creeping up on 100 pitches, so you would think after the next out, he can hit the showers. Clayton McGinnis getting closer and closer to being ready. Considering how good he's been out of the pen, he probably is ready. Kind of tell. And of course, Hoyer would like to get this last guy himself and complete the inning. You never want to be taken out in the middle of an inning. One more to get. Boswell, the strikeout victim, his last time up there.
Better looks against the Hoyer slider here in the 6th. That's been the difference, is that Furman has not chased down in the zone. The swings that they have had have generally resulted in better looking foul balls than in the previous couple innings.
Beneficial call there on 2-1. So pitch number 101. You'd certainly like it to be
throw that
2
again.
and 2 and 3 and 1. We say throw it again?
Yeah.
Throw it out there again?
See how far Terry Harrison's willing to go.
Yeah.
That's where Troutwine's setting up.
And because of that, Boswell had to honor it, and down he goes. So all in all, if that's it for Hoyer, he did a wonderful job here in the opener.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Charles Koch Arena is the place where we gather as a community to compete against the very best. Now our game plan is to renovate Koch Arena by adding a new student-athlete success center. Your tax-deductible gift can help deliver that slam dunk. Join us at the level that is right for you. Donate online at wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Been close throughout. 3-1 Shockers. We go to the bottom of the 6th. Furman just got its first hit and run off the hit and run, not a hit and run, against Cody Hoyer in the last half inning. So that's back-to-back starts where Hoyer's taken a no-hitter into the 6th. And if Denning. That's it for Cody. He can only win. He has a career-high 11 strikeouts. The walks did him in somewhat. Give up one, it's hard to complain, but after a so-so first inning, he really settled in and dominated Furman tonight.
If the walks did anything, it's just going to take him out of the ballgame a little sooner than you would like, because his ability to really make good pitches when he did have the trouble, the leadoff walk in the first, the 2-out walk in the second, was maybe the difference. He obviously got into those stretches where he cruised and was dominant, but I thought he did a good job buckling down, and especially when he was at the end of his rope in that 6th inning, made some big-time pitches, striking out Boswell to probably end his night.
So Nick Verbeck out there for more. He's been a more efficient pitcher than Cody Hoyer. And he's gotten Trey Vickers 3 times if Crawford can squeeze this in the coach's box. Trey Vickers has hit a sacrifice fly to center and then progressively has backed it up. 1 to short. Now he fouls out to the 6th. And again, this game is far from over, Denning, because Verbeck is really not giving the Shockers an inch.
That run that Wichita State got in the 5th on some very close plays could prove to be very important, as there was the bang-bang play at 3rd and then the near double play that Bohm was able to beat out on the back end. And that run just feels critical right now, giving the Shockers a little bit more breathing room with 9 outs to get for the bullpen.
Catesby is grounded out twice, once trying to bunt. And besides Alec Bohm, trying to think of a really sharply hit sequence, not just, well, just by one guy for that matter. I mean, nobody's really gotten great swings against Verbeck outside of Alec Bohm, who's squared up a couple.
And you know, Shane, there haven't been a whole lot of hitters working deep counts, with the exception of Boyer's leadoff walk in the 5th.
Ritter a couple of times.
9 of the last 10 hitters have been on or out in 3 pitches.
And what's Verbeck got? 1 strikeout? 1.
Feels kind of like one of those comfortable 0 for 4
sure
kind of guys, where he'll be around the zone enough where you feel like you just missed it. A lot of pop-ups. Hasn't generated many ground balls, but Wichita State hitters having a hard time getting on top of it and driving the ball.
Yeah, I can't wait to face this guy again. Look at the stat sheet, and you're 0 for 4. Here's Troutwine, 0 for 2. He's popped up and grounded out. Overall, you take a look at this pitching staff for Furman, and for Verbeck, of course, he's been better as a starter. His ERA was nothing to write home about coming in, 5.16, but he'd been knocked around in his 3 relief appearances. This is a team that's right around 5.7 with the ERA. So now the hope is you just get Verbeck out of there as quick as you can. Troutwine gives it a ride. The wind will help it. And there's home run number 2 for Gunnar Troutwine. And there's that run back. Boy, it didn't look like a horrible pitch, Denning, but Troutwine's strong. And he pulled the hands in and pulled it out of here.
And not the kind of night to make a mistake on the inner part of the plate, especially to a guy with Gunnar Troutwine's strength. That's a great job of getting the hands inside of a baseball, working to the inner portion of the plate. And Troutwine just got it up into the jet stream. He let Mother Nature do the rest.
Yeah, he pulled him in just enough, and he was looking in there, and that's the way he kept it fair. The first home run for Gunnar Troutwine in 44 at-bats. Had one very early this year. That's for Becky's 3rd home run surrendered this year. And now here's Hunter Gibson.
This is probably going to end up being a weird-looking line for Nick Verbeck, where he will have pitched very well for extended stretches and is going to have 4 earned runs to show for it.
It's going to look like a pretty ordinary outing, won't it? Hit sharply to shallow right, but there's Tiano. The Shockers got better swings in the 6th, but they'll have to settle for just the 1 run because Troutwine and Gibson are the ones with the good swings.
See on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
The Shockers hit exactly 40 home runs in each of the last 3 seasons, Denning. That home run by Gunnar Troutwine a half inning ago was the 22nd here in game number 19. So if you go by pace, although they've fallen off a little bit, this is going to be a pretty historic power season for Wichita State, at least in recent history.
It was just a torrid pace to start the year, Shane. Like you said, we figured that was probably unsustainable over the long haul, but it's just nice to see guys who have it in them producing those kind of power numbers, and Gunnar Troutwine's a great example. Didn't homer all of last season, and injuries and fatigue may have contributed to that, but to see him come through in a spot like that, hooking a ball out of here to left field, really great to see.
So Clayton McGinnis, who's been the busiest Shocker, as you see there, this is his 13th appearance. And he'll face Landon Kay to start with here in the 7th inning. As Denning told you, Paladins down to their last 9 outs. That insurance run by Gunnar Troutwine gives the Shockers their 3-run lead back. It was 2-0 after 1. Stayed that way until the 5th. Shockers got 1. Paladins got 1 in the 6th, and then Troutwine's home run answered. So here we are. 4-1 Shockers. Kay, Richards, and Sanders, your scheduled hitters, as McGinnis negotiates his way down through the bottom part of the order. McGinnis threw 2 1/3 scoreless in the midweek against OU. And he had a really good breaking ball going against the Sooners. Struck out 4, that matched a season high. Normally, Denning, he's been a 1 inning at a time kind of guy. I would imagine they'll just ask him to get 3 outs here in the 7th and then keep the line moving.
That's ideally how you would like it to play out, and that's the luxury when you get 6 innings from your starters, that you can plan things out a lot better in your bullpen, and just allows you to kind of figure out roles for guys. We talked about the importance of when a reliever is knowing that they're coming into the ball game, whether you can have a 7th, 8th, and 9th inning guy, just kind of makes things easier. And 6 innings from Cody Hoyer, allowing only the 1 hit, allows you to turn it over to just a couple of guys. Makes things go much smoother.
And there's old school versus or new school trains of thought, obviously, with everything. There was a time when if a pitcher would ask a pitching coach, what's my role? The coach would respond, your role is to get guys out until I come and take the ball from you. But now, like you said, by and large this year, Wichita State has had a 7th inning guy, an 8th inning guy, and a 9th inning guy. And you can only do that efficiently is if your starter goes the first 6 and you got the lead. And McGinnis, in auspicious beginning to the 7th inning. If it wasn't for the base on balls, the Paladins wouldn't have much going on tonight. So a late inning base on balls to start the inning, certainly not ideal.
Well, Shane, you know I subscribe to the analytics school of thinking with a lot of baseball's axioms, and with the bullpen, it's more so that the new school of thought is that you want to be using your best reliever in the highest leverage situation, whether that comes in the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th, and kind of abandoning that role of a true closer.
Save the game when the game is most likely to be saved.
Right. But and the best argument I've heard against that is just that it is easier as a pitcher to know when you're coming into the game and to have an idea of, all right, you get the 8th inning, you get the 9th inning. You can kind of plan your warm-ups ahead of that rather than here comes trouble in the 6th, get hot, you're in 5 pitches. And so that is the best argument, I think, against the idea of kind of the Andrew Miller role. We saw it very popular with the Cleveland Indians using him early in ball games, but just kind of a difference of opinion as far as that goes.
Hard to argue with the way the Indians used Andrew Miller. Well, he came in, and if Terry Francona thought the game needed to be saved right then, more times than not, he did it. A long, loud first out. Jabari Richards went the opposite field. And if Clayton McGinnis goes on to get out of this inning, maybe we'd be making too much of it. Jabari Richards swung at ball 1 on the first pitch that he saw after 4 in a row out of the zone to Landon Kay. And I don't know if one thing had anything to do with the next, whether he felt like he had to swing now that he's behind the 8 ball. Put a pretty good pass on it, but who knows what would have happened if Richards takes. It's 1-0, and now the pressure is squarely on Clayton McGinnis.
Are you a fan of
stolen base, the second one of the night for Furman? Landon Kay swipes his 3rd, you were saying?
Getting ready to say, are you a fan of an automatic take after a 4-pitch walk?
The way McGinnis looked, I would have been. Kay convinced that McGinnis wasn't coming over. And so that's not only a couple of rare stolen bases for Furman, a couple of rare stolen bases against Shocker pitching and catching. So the Paladins trying to force the issue here in the late innings. That one scalded to center, but Shocker's got a guy there. 2 away.
Much better swings over the last 2 frames for Furman, that's for sure. They have started to find the rhythm offensively, and a couple of atom balls have saved Wichita State. That's a missile right at Grayson Genestu, had just a step or 2 to move, and now Clayton McGinnis can make that leadoff walk disappear into the night if he can get Alley.
Alley is the only guy that hadn't struck out tonight. Of course, that was facing Cody Hoyer, who punched out a season and career high 11. You got to credit Brad Harker, the 2nd-year head coach for Furman. He let Sanders hit, who has all of 6 at-bats under his belt this year, and going to let Alley hit too.
Well, Alley has been much more so used as a pitcher for Furman. He has 5 starts. He's been their consistent midweek guy. Hasn't gotten many chances to swing the bat. When he has, he's been pretty productive, but throwing him into the DH spot here on a Friday. Wonder if we'll see him on the bump at some point this weekend.
As Denning said earlier, throw it there again. McGinnis has got Alley by the neck, nothing in 2.
The worst thing that can happen if you throw that fastball again is ball 1.
Unless Alley hurries up and goes and gets a telephone pole. Looks like he's going to stick with his bat. Went out there again, and he had to honor it. And McGinnis saves his best for last. Stretch time with the Shockers leading 4-1.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Well, the conditions would say it's night for the offense, and both teams better enjoy it while it lasts, because I think overnight the wind is supposed to change directions and blow in. It won't be terrible tomorrow the next day, but it won't be quite as warm, and the conditions won't be favorable like they are right now. But Verbeck and Cody Hoyer both pitched very well, and Nick Verbeck still in there. He's given up 4 and now make it 5 if the wind blows a little toward the corner. Richards can't get it. Boyer a home run, and the Shockers are taking advantage of the conditions. Little Jordan Boyer, the Chihuahua, as described by Todd Butler, home run number 3, RBI number 10. There's another insurance run by Wichita State. Solo home runs in each of the last 2 innings.
Well, that's a fly ball to maybe medium deep left field on any other day, but this park can play pretty small when the wind starts to gale out to left, and Jordan Boyer got it way up into the jet stream, and it just did carry out of here. Heck of an effort from Richards as he went back as far as he could. 2 really good at-bats from Jordan Boyer. Of course, started the 5th inning with that 9-pitch walk and didn't wait nearly as long to start a run-scoring rally here in the 7th.
Verbeck may have deserved better, but he's going to leave trailing 5-1.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Third baseman turned pitcher Jake Crawford will take over on the mound. And now Jared Mahalik, a freshman from Georgia, will take over at third base. There you see the numbers for Jake Crawford. The only other 2 times that he pitched, he started. And so now the Paladins will ask him to clean up here in the 7th inning. You alluded to it, Denning. The Shockers up 5-1. Shana Denning with you here at Eck Stadium. Nick Verbeck. His line is going to look really ordinary when all is said and done. It's going to be, what, 6+ innings, 5 runs. And basically, it will mirror his season numbers. He's got a 5 ERA, but I thought he looked and pitched much better than that. And, you know, deserves got nothing to do with it. I've heard that many, many times before, but you just feel bad for Nick Verbeck, who on a Friday night, who didn't even start the season as a starting pitcher, certainly did his job, I thought, for the most part.
Battled and gave Furman a lot of quality innings. We thought that he looked incredibly impressive through long stretches of this game.
A bouncing ball double at least up the left field line from a guy that can really use them, and Ritter slides into second with a 3-hit game. Luke Ritter with a pair of doubles, a single. We've been talking about the hard luck that he's hit into all season long. And while Verbeck probably deserved much better tonight, Ritter deserved much better leading up to tonight. Maybe the law of averages evening out for Shocker leadoff man. He's been on there 3 times, all with base hits.
Just a reward, I think, for sticking with his approach throughout this season and throughout the rough stretch that he went through early in the year. He has been a guy who It's had to deal with so many atom balls, it's not even funny. The average was down below 200, but now swinging the bat much better and getting rewarded for it.
So now the Shockers have a chance to really pile it on a little bit. That'll move the runner. Genesta hustles. He's got an infield single, and he's got it. That's the peril with Tiano playing in shallow right field. A big high 2-hopper and running in the left-hand batter's box and hustling all the way. It'll give you a hit.
How many times tonight has Wichita State taken advantage of the turf, too? Was a pregame hitting session, hit it 2 feet in front of home plate and run. It has worked out. And how about the aggressiveness in this inning, too? 3 hitters, 3 first pitch swings, and 3 hits to show for it.
And now Bohm. The Shockers in the first, the third, and the fifth had legitimate chances that they either squandered or got very little out of. And now they're on the lip of the cup trying to put away Furman here in the bottom of the 7th. Bohm was 1 out of 3. Scored once, drove in 1. And another Baltimore chop, this one foul. Well, they have elevated 2, Gunnar Troutwine and Jordan Boyer, both solo home runs. Troutwine's 2nd, Boyer's 3rd. It's been now 39 at bats since Alec Bohm's last home run. That came with, of course, the bases loaded against Matt Warren of Nebraska. And a really dangerous pitch coming from Crawford now on 3-1 with nobody out.
And if you're Alec Bohm, you can almost eliminate a breaking ball here. The previous one from Crawford spun well up and inside. It seems like he's only been able to command the fastball, and even that last one slipped high and away.
Well, they're loaded. The Shockers have been 0 for their last 4 with the bases loaded after going 6 for their first 8 with 5 grand slams and a double. O'Brien owns one of the grand slams. It's his only home run of the year. And their first opportunity with the bases loaded here tonight. And really, most importantly, Denning, nobody out. So just make a productive out here, and you're looking at a big inning. By the way, Jake Crawford, 10 innings in those 2 starts, a double and 2 home runs. Not surprisingly, with the Shockers' 5 grand slams, they lead the nation in that category. Next closest teams have 3. Shockers at every base, nobody out. Not quite. Everybody else moves up 90 feet. So O'Brien drives in his 2nd of the night. Some oohs and ahs from the fans, and while the wind giveth, I think in that case the wind taketh away.
This was crushed just right into the teeth of that cross breeze, unfortunately, and going to be very difficult to get it out of here to right field tonight. But I love the base running. All 3 recognized that ball, while not going to get out of here, was plenty deep enough for all 3 runners to tag. And we've seen Genesta and Bohm creating some scoring chances with their feet tonight. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, they've not settled into or settled for being all or nothing guys, even though they had their share of home runs and RBI in the first week and a half of the year. Vickers needs a redeemer. He, outside of a first inning sacrifice fly, has not really squared anything up. Of course, his first plate appearance against Crawford.
Ooh.
That's what I was just getting ready to say. Would not surprise me if Terry Harrison calls out a strike. It was probably too high to be a strike, but it was caught more of the plate than some of the called strikes. And now the catcher, Boswell, saying, well, you want me to continue to put him on, or should we try that again?
These are close. Jake Crawford needs to get it out there a little further.
That may make somebody's top 10. A called strike on an intentional pass. Well, they'll load it back up again. Not exactly a great candidate if you're enamored with the grand slam. Catsby may not get the chance.
Garrett Kosas coming off the bench for Wichita State will get a chance to pinch hit. I think Todd Butler may be thinking along the same lines as us, in that a left-handed hitter maybe not the way to go tonight if you're just trying to get a ball up into the jet stream.
I think he's thinking chicks dig the long ball.
Oh, there you go.
Catsby 0 for 3 tonight. He has 0 home runs in his 85 at-bats as a Shocker, so Kosas, big strong dude, will get the opportunity here. Kosas so far this year 1 for 2. That one hit a double came against Texas Arlington. He is a big guy. Kosas goes 6'4", 195. He is trying to put this one away.
Shane, you know, this might be putting the cart a little bit before the horse, but I think there's a lot of value in a couple of insurance runs here so that you don't have to use a Chandler Sandburn or a Tommy Barnhouse in the 8th or the 9th inning. Those guys have been busy, especially Chandler Sandburn. And if you can save them an inning, use them Saturday and Sunday, I think there's a lot of value to be had in that.
2-1 to Kosas. Hammered to right field. That's going to be 2 more. Well, for all the innings, the Shockers didn't have good swings. Here in the 7th, they are lathering Verbeck and now Crawford. Kosas with a tracer to right field.
A guy who's had to bide his time. Kosas has not gotten many chances to swing the bat, but this coaching staff could not be higher on him. They love the way that he swings it. Big, physical freshman.
You know who he looks like over there and the way that swing looked? Josh Hamilton from the Rangers. Although put on 35 or 40 more pounds than your Josh Hamilton, but an imposing left-hand batter like him. Give him a fastball count. So he did the damage, and now the Shockers suddenly with a 4-run 7th inning.
The problem for Kosas is just that he's stuck behind some guys who can really swing the bat. He plays third and occasionally first as well. And you're fighting Alec Boehm and Mason O'Brien for those spots right now. And the way those two have been hitting in the early part of this year, tough to supplement them.
Troutwine fooled, 0-2. They've had some really good swings in this inning. Started with Boyer's fly ball that blew out against Nick Verbeck, and then they took him out. Ritter with a ground ball double. Genesta with a chopping single. Sacrifice fly, and Kosas 2-run single, really a big blow. Troutwine goes down on 3 pitches, so now Hunter Gibson due up, and that will be the 9th man to bat in the inning.
Good depth to that breaking ball there from Crawford. It had been fringy at best through his first couple hitters faced. It's mostly just been fastballs that were out all over the plate, but a couple good ones there to Troutwine.
That was a good one. That one disappeared. Gibson, in some ways, a little bit like Kosas, just trying to elbow his way into the lineup, get some at-bats here and there, and stick there with a good game.
Talked about how that DH spot is still up for grabs, and one of a couple different positions in this lineup where Todd Butler, I think, is still willing to consider some candidates.
That's going to make it into right field. I don't know if Tiano, even if he hadn't stumbled, would have gotten to that one. So good for Gibson, who knocks in a run. Vickers scores. And now it becomes a gargantuan inning. The Shockers have batted all the way around, and Boyer, who started the inning, will be the 10th man. Now, I was just getting ready to kind of wonder aloud whether Crawford would be the sacrificial lamb, but I think he's certainly done his penance. He tried to get through the 7th inning, but wasn't able to do it. Shockers lead 9-1.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Austin Wood will come on to face Jordan Boyer. The third baseman turned pitcher, Jake Crawford, had a rough one. He retired 2 batters, but gave up 5 runs in the meantime. 2 more still out there, his responsibility. Austin Wood appearing for the 7th time, and now it would appear inning that Furman's just trying to get through this one, as this one's out the gate for the Shockers. And to your point, Wichita State trying to maybe get some guys in there that haven't got some at-bats and maybe innings. Furman replying in kind. They are going to empty out the bottom half of their pen.
It is not a glamorous role that Austin Wood is about to serve, but it is an important one, and that's getting outs in games that are essentially already decided. At this point, though, Furman just not trying to utilize any more of their arms down in the bullpen, and if Wood can get them 4 outs, there is certainly some value in that. But Wichita State happy to get Kosas off the bench, swinging the bat well. Gibson getting a chance to start tonight with an RBI single, and now an 8-run cushion means that Todd Butler can be a little bit more creative with how he utilizes these last 6 outs.
Austin Wood pitched once in the, actually pitched, twice in the Harvard series, gave up a couple of runs in the inning, gave up 3 hits. He has had only 1 outing this year, as you would imagine with his ERA, only 1 outing where he hasn't given up at least 1 run. But you're right. It's at sometimes thankless, most of the time thankless.
Almost always thankless.
Almost always thankless, and many times embarrassing. But if you can somehow get through this Friday game and save your quote-unquote guys in a game that's all but been decided, 9-1, and you're able to win games or, pitch better out of the bullpen on a Saturday or Sunday or beyond, then, you've certainly done your job. Again, it's the least glamorous job in the bullpen for sure. And a good strike on the outside corner by Austin Wood. Big guy, 6'5", 210, native of Colorado.
You know what? If you're Austin Wood, you look at this as an opportunity. You pitch well. Eventually, you do this enough times in a row, you start becoming one of the guys that you talked about.
Jumped ahead of Jordan Boyer, 0-2. Boyer struck out in the 2nd. He walked and scored in the 5th, and homer to start this inning about 15 minutes ago. Turned into a 5-run Shocker 7th. This is close once upon a time. Same two teams tomorrow, 2 o'clock. Denning and I will have it for you right here on WSU-TV. Shockers have spread the wealth here in the 7th inning.
Really spread the wealth all game long. 10 hits, and only one guy has more than one. It's Luke Ritter with his 3.
And some guys that needed some hits, frankly, and needed some good at-bats have turned them in. Bohm and Boyer being 2 of them. Bohm drove in a run for the first time in a while with a hustling fielder's choice. Genesta, while not driving in a run tonight, has been on there 3 times. Boyer, who has 1 for his last 15, got a home run his last time up there. And Gunnar Troutwine, who'd been in a home run drought, delivered with 2 outs in the 6th. And that one's a rocket into right center field. Boyer's having himself a game. He's probably going to knock in 2 more. Esposito's going to wave in Gibson. He'll slide in unnecessarily. And now it's 11-1 Wichita State. Boyer has 3 RBI in the inning. And that is a good piece of hitting. He just drilled it over Tiano's head, and it made its way into the gap. And now the Shockers suddenly getting extra base hits by the gallon.
So Boyer's done it both ways in this inning. Pulling one out of here down the line to left, and this time picking on a fastball out away from him and somewhat down too. Not a terrible pitch, but drove it right over the head of Tiano, and a huge inning.
This should do it. Kay seems to have it measured. He does. And the Shockers send 11 to the plate in the 7th inning and lead it by 10.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Well, Keelan Kilgore was up and going an inning ago. And so Denning, you might as well go to him. 11-1 ball game. He was actually getting loose to potentially face Jabari Richards. McGinnis faced him. Kilgore just kept going, and with that huge 7-run inning for the Shockers, Keelan coming off his first career victory.
Pitched very well against Oklahoma. Gave Wichita State a critical scoreless inning late in that ball game, and the plan was to have him come on and face Tiano and Anderson, both left-handed hitters. That becomes a little less significant now, an 11-1 game, but still another chance for Kilgore to work a clean inning, and Wichita State's going to make a bunch of defensive changes as well. Looks like Josh DeBacker has taken over in left, and Ross Cadena behind the plate.
So new battery in an 11-1 game. Goes to show you how baseball goes. I don't think either one of us envisioned this game ever getting to 11-1 between the two starting pitchers at about the 5th inning or so.
And this was a 3-1 game. I was anticipating some more nervy moments with Chandler Sandburn, and somehow there were bases loaded.
Yeah.
But instead, a 7-run inning has given Wichita State plenty of cushion, and and turned it into a much more comfortable game than I think a lot of us would have anticipated just really an hour or so ago.
McGinnis throws up another scoreless outing. He walked the first man that he faced, but got the next 3, including 1 by strikeout. 12 strikeouts for Shocker pitching tonight.
The ERA for McGinnis, by the way, down to 2.03. He's been outstanding.
You talked about Keelan Kilgore's scoreless inning against OU, faced 3, retired 3. And I think what pleased Todd Butler the most was the way that he did it. And the box score will never tell you with the conviction that he threw the ball, but he just looked the part. Wasn't babying it up there, wasn't hoping he was throwing strikes. He really threw the ball with some conviction, and the results showed.
And he got probably the 3 best hitters that Oklahoma has to offer. Steele Walker, Kyler Murray, and Brady Lindsley. Of course, 2 lefties among that trio. But we've spent a lot of tonight talking about the value in having roles for guys down in the pen, and not necessarily that Keelan Kilgore, you have to pigeonhole him as a left-on-left guy. But say there's an inning where you've got 2 lefties coming up, you feel confident that he can get those 2, and then you can leave him in to face the righty in the middle, too.
And the gun is not the end-all be-all either, but Keelan Kilgore earlier this year is an 84, 85, 86 guy, just hoping to throw a strike. And you look up there on the scoreboard gun, he's throwing 90. So he's certainly got some conviction for the 2nd straight day, or 2nd straight outing anyway.
That's believing in it, really.
Yeah.
Believing in your own stuff and having that little extra conviction behind every pitch. It's hard to measure, it's hard to explain, but when you've got it, you can just see it.
Pretty close. Tiano, I think, more than anything, knew he couldn't hit it, so didn't try. And Terry Harrison gave him a reprieve, and that's a leadoff walk. And you know who knows it the most is the hitters that you face. They know when you've got some conviction behind that pitch. So now here's Ben Anderson. Been on there twice, scored their only run.
And Shane, something we haven't touched on a whole bunch, but that I've liked a lot from all 3 of the arms we've seen tonight from Wichita State is the tempo and the pace. It's not necessarily get the ball, throw it lightning quick, but they just seem to all have a good rhythm about them, a good sense of their own natural pace and timing, and it's really shown.
2 Hall of Fame pitches to Ben Anderson, and it's quickly 0-2. Don't kid yourself. That shouldn't be undersold. Pace of the game, pace of the pitcher getting the sign and throwing it.
I just think sometimes you hear pitchers working with pace and you think that that means it's Mark Burley and that it's coming out of the hand every 3 seconds. It doesn't have to be that. It just has to be working with a rhythm that the defense can kind of work with you and doesn't fall asleep and keeps everybody engaged.
Ben Anderson is showing the kind of hitter that he is. He's laid off a couple of borderline pitches after falling behind 2-0 in the count. So Kilgore's going to have to earn it against him.
We'll see if Keelan wants to bust him in here. He's gone away, away, away to both Tiano and Anderson. I'd have him set up for something in if he wants to try it.
Yep. Well, he did. He front doored him with a breaking ball, and Anderson down looking. So Anderson's proclivity to look over pitches actually backfired on him. He didn't swing the bat, I don't think, the entire at bat there. Tough to pull the trigger on that one.
Maybe not exactly where Keelan was trying to put it, but nice to see him rewarded too after he was so close to punching out Tiano on the hitter before.
So a righty will come in to face Hebner. We'll tell you all about him as the dominoes continue to fall here late in the inning.
I understand. I know it's not your typical resume.
Okay, well.
But candidate. But I've been working double shifts just to pay for books. I've been raising my 2 little brothers. I'm determined, driven, motivated. Isn't that what you're looking for?
Look beyond the resume and discover new ways to develop great talent at gradsoflife.org.
Tommy Barnhouse becomes the second pitcher of the inning. Keelan Kilgore walked 1, struck out 1. And now Barnhouse will face a couple of right-hand batters, at least scheduled. Find out if that happens. Brett Hebner's due up next. There you see Tommy's season numbers. Looking for a feel good. He gave up a hit and a walk in that OU game and had to be taken out late in that one, a game the Shockers held on to win.
Todd Butler gave him a chance to close out that 9th inning against the Sooners. He got the first out, but then when trouble came a-calling, Todd Butler went to Chandler Sandburn to finish it out. So Tommy gets a chance here to work in a little bit more of a low leverage spot in the 8th inning. But I think that this whole coaching staff realizes that if Wichita State is going to do anything significant this year, that Tommy Barnhouse and his work at the back end of the bullpen is going to play a big part in that.
And you can't totally lose a guy once he loses hold of the closer role, if that's in fact the case here. Bohm cuts it off, and what a nifty 5-4-3 double play that turned out to be. Wow. Shockers are clicking now as we go to the home half of the 8th.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Everything going right for Wichita State now. Wasn't that way a couple of innings ago, but Tommy Barnhouse, unconventional 5-4-3, and that's pretty slick right there, Denning.
I'm not sure what was my favorite part, to be honest with you. The quick hands from Boyer in the middle on that turn was pretty impressive, but for a big guy, Alec Bohm moves so well, and he has greatly improved his range in his time at Wichita State, got rid of that ball quickly, and only his play was the only reason that Boyer even had a chance to roll that.
So late in the ball game, it's been all Shockers, and they've turned a close one into a laugher. 11-1 as Grayson Genisto will stride plateward. He's 1 for 2, been on there 3 out of 4 times. Shockers have out-hit the Paladins 11-1. Here's Grayson to start it. Austin Wood back out there for more for the Paladins.
And that one was about 6 inches away from just being a strike. There has just not been much to speak of offensively for Furman. The walk preceding that double from Hebner, the only reason that they're on the scoreboard at all.
Two and 1.
That was a big swing. Don't think Grayson's trying to shorten up and go to the opposite field there on 2-0.
Gave up on that one. That one dropped in there for a called strike. if Shocker pitching staff can retire Furman in the top half of the ninth without a hit, it would be the first combined one-hitter since May of 2014. Southern Illinois in the conference tournament in what turned out to be an extra inning game, by the way, combined one-hitter. How would you like that? Be hanging on to a one-hitter and have to go to extra innings, sweat it out. Bohm's had a good night. Scored twice, knocked in one, and now he's collected his second hit.
First baseman number 22, Mason O'Brien.
Alec Bohm has shown pretty much all the tools in his toolbox tonight. He has done it with his legs. He has shown the ability to hit the ball to all fields. Made a very nice defensive play in the last half inning. This has been a very well-rounded performance from him tonight, and showing that he can be a contributor without just hitting the ball 425 feet.
O'Brien tried his last time up and had to settle for a sacrifice fly. This time goes to the left field. And so now Mason is 1 out of 4.
Shortstop number 17, Trey Vickers.
Vickers intentionally passed and scored one of the 7 in the Shockers' 7th. Austin Wood trying to put up a 0 here in the 8th, and I don't know that anybody would really mind if he did. Got to feel good for Vickers just to be out there every day now. You don't know what you got till it's gone. He had to wait 3 weeks to make his debut in his senior season. I imagine he was screaming inside.
Can't be easy to have to watch your teammates go out there and play and be helpless to contribute. With the thing about Trey, though, is that he provides value off the field as well. He is a great clubhouse guy, just really keeps the atmosphere loose while still being supportive. And I think that's what you're looking for anytime you've got a senior playing every day. Got tied up on a fastball there, but has contributed pretty much from the day he stepped on campus. He was right in the mix at shortstop as a freshman and has been there virtually every game ever since. And that probably just made it tougher, the fact that he had to sit out those early season games.
Told you earlier, he's the active career leader in games, at bats, hits. Got 152 career hits and takes a shot at right field, and that's going to twist just foul. On the outside looking in today, but does have a run scored and an RBI. Every spot in the order has at least one hit. Be interesting to see Denning tomorrow when these two teams get back together, how Liam Eddy bounces back after a kind of a perplexing start in Creighton, or in Omaha against Creighton. Not the greatest weather day, but he goes 7 up and 7 down and then is unable to get out of the 3rd inning. So a young guy, just a freshman, will have a bounce back opportunity tomorrow. Vickers can't keep that one fair. It's still 1-2.
One of the first bouts of real adversity that Liam Eddy has had to deal with how outstanding he has been as the Saturday guy for Wichita State, and it'll be a test for him. It's not an easy thing to do, to come back from a poor start, and I think maybe Cody Hoyer will give him a blueprint as far as how to approach and attack this Furman team.
Vickers caught looking, and the Paladins are down to their final 3 outs.
see on page 4 that the projections need to be tornado next Thursday.
Seriously? Thursday? Can't do that.
This is really inconvenient.
I have yoga that day.
I have no time for this.
So.
I can't do Thursday, but I can do Friday.
Disasters don't plan ahead. You can. Talk to your loved ones about how you're going to be ready in an emergency. Don't wait. Communicate.
This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Remember that to love America is to love all Americans, because love has no labels.
All Shockers as we head to the 9th inning. Couldn't say that for well over half the game. Shockers took a 4-1 lead into the 7th, but then a touchdown and extra point for the Shocks started to put the final touches on this one. Preston Minor is going to try to get the final 3 outs of this one after McGinnis, Kilgore, and Barnhouse have combined for hitless, scoreless relief after a brilliant outing out of Cody Hoyer. Another quality outing, to say the least. It was way more than that.
Hard to find any blemishes with any of the 4 Wichita State arms we have seen tonight. And Cody Hoyer, man, he has just gotten a little bit better each time we have seen him. All you can ask for now from him is just, can you go deeper into games? The stuff is there. I mean, 11 punch outs allowing just the 1 hit. It's hard to find anything to complain about, but now it's just about, can he be a little bit more aggressive in the strike zone and avoid those 25 pitch innings? If you can just turn 25 into 17 or 18 pitches, that means probably at least another inning of work for him. That's the only thing that Cody Hoyer needs to add to the repertoire right now.
Preston Minor is in there for the 7th time. You saw his season numbers. He's a situational guy for the first 6. Went a scoreless inning striking out the side against ORU. Pitched twice opening weekend against McNeese. But he'll get the 9th here against Furman. MJ Sasapson will pinch hit here. Jake Crawford gets the rest of the night off. Gonna be tough for Vickers. Got it on the hop that he wanted, though. Good read by Trey Vickers. Some of that's luck, some of that's skill. I think it was a combination of both.
If that turns into an in-between hop, it's a much more difficult play, and Vickers was able to get it on that big high bounce, but still had a somewhat difficult throw to make, off balance and on the run, and made it accurate enough toss across. 1 pitch, 1 out for Preston Minor.
John Michael Boswell hitless in 3 tries. He struck out twice. 1 pitch and 1 out for Preston Minor. A little bit of a deceiving 11-1 ball game. Ross Cadena getting some valuable time behind home plate. Caught the last couple of half innings. And Preston Minor follows up Barnhouse, who came in after Kilgore, after McGinnis started the 7th. Gary Harrison started to pull the trigger, but thought better of it. 1-1. One run on 1 hit for Furman. That one's jerked foul. And the numbers, and you and I were talking during the commercial, Denning, the numbers for the Wichita State pitching staff is starting to get obscene. Low hits to innings pitch. Opponents are only hitting 209 before today, so that's 1 for whatever they are right now. They have 13 more strikeouts in 8 innings. You get anywhere close, especially at this point, that's going to be a strikeout and a wild pitch because Cadena doesn't know where it is. But if you get anywhere close to after they had 161 innings coming into this one, if you're even in the neighborhood of 1 strikeout per inning, that's very, very good as a staff. But they are way, way over that. And you look up and down the sheet, almost everybody to a man has more strikeouts than innings.
Yeah, it's not just Chandler Sandburn striking out 6 guys an inning, and that's carrying the whole staff. It's, I mean, everyone that they run out of that right field bullpen, for one thing, just looks different than in past years. And we mentioned it with Keelan Kilgore, where it's not only velocity taking a huge step up, it is just intent and demeanor and every other intangible. It's just fun to watch. It's like every single pitcher has taken huge steps forward in their development, and you got to credit Mike Steele, and you got to credit all the guys for buying into his philosophy too.
And here's something that before this one gets totally away from us and we have to sign off. It's something that Mike Steele had talked about when asked why did his guys not go out in the summertime and pitch in competitive summer leagues. I think he kept them all back. I don't know that anybody went out and pitched. They all stayed here, all worked out either individually or, you know, instead of facing batters. And I personally had questioned it whether, all right, is this going to work out or not? You know, not facing live hitters all summer long. But Mike Steele, there you see him right there, said it's sweat equity, it's working on your body, it's working on your mechanics, working on your confidence. Boy, you can't argue with the results. Off the end of the bat, and Genesis is going to have to play it on a hop in front of him. Thought the wind might carry it out to him. So 2 on and 1 out, and that's hit number 2. And I like the sweat equity thing. And apparently this one's almost over because former Shocker head coach Gene Stevenson's yucking it up with Alex Jackson down there. But getting back to Mike Steele, I like the sweat equity thing. You make each guy feel good about what he did during the summer, and now you take a look at the stat sheet and the numbers will bear it out that, yeah, that summer workout, while long, hard, and sometimes at the time you'd feel like it's thankless, you don't see any carrot, you know, at the end of the stick, starting to pay off now.
I think it's not only the sweat equity, it's getting guys to buy into the idea of putting work into yourself to make yourself a better ball player rather than just going out and getting your at-bats or getting your innings pitched during the summer. This was a way, I think, and I'm not sure if this was the primary benefit, more of an ancillary one, but of having guys who were committed to Wichita State baseball and were willing to put the time in, not just go off and have a fun summer out in Santa Barbara or the Cape or wherever it may be, but to stick back in Wichita, Kansas, which for a lot of kids is probably not high on their summer bucket list, and say, I'm going to get better this summer, and I'm going to devote time to making myself a better player, to grow my body and to grow myself mentally as well as a pitcher. And that's not an easy ask to make, and it's not an easy thing for 18, 19, 20-year-olds to buy into. But it seems like, at least in the early going, that every single one of these guys has bought in some form or fashion.
And they're seeing the payoff. Season's not over, certainly not by a long shot, but virtually to a man, they're off to quite a start. This is Dylan Love pinch hitting with 2 on and 1 out in the Furman ninth. Dylan Love is 2 for 6 so far this year. And if you're Mike Steele, you're thanking your lucky stars, of course, right now that they listened to what you said and executed what you asked them to back in the summer months. But, man, I can't imagine. No payoff. It's just trust me, trust the process. You hear about the process all the time, and it's going to pay off in the spring. The spring is a heck of a long time from July and August.
That's
it's
right.
a long ways away.
It can be hard to trust the process even during fall ball.
No doubt.
And to ask guys to do it all the way into the summer. A big ask, but it seems like the guys have answered the call.
But on the other side of the coin, I guess you could say that Mike Steele, whether he said this or not, he could have. He said, all right, you tried it your way. Now we're going to do it my way. You know, and we didn't get enough outs when we needed to, although they pitched pretty decent down the stretch and toward the conference tournament. But now Minor's walked him loaded. Deion Sanders, the next scheduled hitter. We'll see if Todd Butler allows him to face the right-hand batter, who's 0 for 2 with a walk. Sanders has been announced, and he's a right-hand batter, so once again, maybe a confidence builder here, letting Minor get out of his own mess, although not totally of his doing. A strikeout, a wild pitch, and a little flare single to center field, but maybe it wouldn't appear that he's going to get the chance. So new relief pitcher, breakaway hopefully for the final time, and wrap this up when we come back.
Todd's a great guy. I mean, look at him. What a sweetheart. Attaboy. Wait, Todd, what are you doing? How totally selfish and un-Todd-like of you. Come on, Todd. Come on, man.
Wichita State University is Shocker Nation. We exceed expectations, push boundaries, seize opportunities, and move boldly ahead. We are student-centered and innovation-driven. It's who we are. Our vision is simple but powerful. Create, innovate, collaborate, and celebrate. With one unifying purpose: to shock the world.
Adam Keller out of that right field bullpen trying to put the finishing touches on this one. Preston Minor had a little bit of trouble closing things out, but as I mentioned going to break, and as you mentioned going in the break, that's going to be frustrating for Minor, who frankly we should all be out of here by now.
You just hate to see the strikeout wild pitch that started this whole thing for Furman. It should have been 2 outs and nobody on, and will be a learning experience for Preston with how he handled runners on base, and will also be a learning experience for Ross Cadena, that you have to be focused on every single pitch, that even a strikeout pitch can start a rally if you're not focused back there and locked in. And now it's up to Adam Keller to clean up the mess.
And we talked quite a bit about Mike Steele before the most recent pitching change. There you see Ross, freshman catcher. If I'm Mike Steele, I'd tell Preston Minor, don't even going to give this night a second thought. Overall, you did your job. Struck a man out and got a guy to hit a shallow fly ball to center field. You didn't get paid off, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, the only pitch that I think Steele will be upset with is the 3-2 to Love that got way away from him. But other than that, a ground out, a strikeout, a flare single. Not much to be upset with.
Here's Deion Sanders. The base is loaded. Adam Keller, the well-traveled Adam Keller. Folsom Memorial, West Virginia in the Big 12, Seward County. Jayhawk JUCO now here at Wichita State. 1 scoreless inning under his belt so far this year. Had him giving ground, and now it's 0-2. Shockers broke this one open with a 7-run seventh.
When he's got it going on, Adam Keller has maybe the best breaking ball on this staff. It is a true power curve. Right on right can be deadly.
Feel free to throw one right here. I just showed him a fastball, setting it up. Fastball at 90 in the left-hand batter's box. 1-2.
Shane, I don't know the signals for Wichita State, but I would guess this is a curveball. I think that's what's about to be put down here.
You don't have to know the signals to know that the curveball is coming here, fella. Swing and a miss. Take for a strike. Fastball away. Here comes the deuce.
I'm getting good at this. This is fun.
That is 15 strikeouts for Shocker pitching today. Everybody but Tommy Barnhouse got one. Tommy got a double play. So Trent Alley is going to stay in there, and he's the final hope for the Paladins here tonight. Alley hitless in 3 tries.
See if Adam Keller can throw 2 more of those.
Now you're on to it.
I've got this whole thing figured out, Shane. You just throw the pitches that they're not good at hitting.
That's right. Keller trying to make a winner out of Cody Hoyer. He would move to 4-0 in his junior season. Again, he struck out a career high 11 in 6 1-hit, 1-run innings of work. Well, good for Keller and good for Preston Minor as the game ends 11-1. It was all Shockers, especially after that 7th inning of work. Game 1 goes to the Shockers. We'll be back with some final thoughts after this.
Hi. You think you're probably sober?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about taking the back roads home just in case. Why would you do that?
Probably okay isn't okay. Call a cab, a car, or a friend.
Good choice.
Wichita State University is preparing today's students to become tomorrow's leaders. The Shock the World campaign is raising $25 million in private funds for a new home for the W. Frank Barton School on the Innovation Campus. Invest today in tomorrow's business leaders by calling 316-978-4076 or visit www.wichita.edu/shocktheworld.
Well, it took a while for the Shocker offense to kick it into high gear, but as it turned out, Denning, it was no big deal because Cody Hoyer got this. 6 innings, 1 run, 11 strikeouts. They blew it open late, but this was about Cody Hoyer mostly tonight.
Even 3-1 would have been more than enough with the way that Cody Hoyer was pitching here this afternoon. Just dominant stuff, working the fastball to both sides of the plate, mixing in a nasty slider and a changeup when he needed it, and then the bullpen really just picked up right where he left off. Only 1 hit allowed by them as well, and some more strikeout stuff. It is fun to watch just about every guy that Wichita State runs out there right now with the way that they are pitching the baseball.
Home runs from Boyer and Troutwine, 3 hits from Ritter, and the Shockers take game 1 11-1. We'll talk to you again tomorrow at 2 o'clock, game 2 of the series. For Denning, I'm Shane. For everybody, thanks for watching. Shockers win it on WSU-TV.